It is time for our first bout of the evening. So now to introduce your competitors for the first match of the night. For Team India, it's Arjun, Erigaisi, and for Team USA, Fabiano, Caruana.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear
You can hear it?
Yeah.
All right, Arjun. I'm coming to you first on this one. You're first out the gate for Team India, but it is ultimately a 5-game series here for the team itself. But how do you plan to kick things off on the right foot here for Team India against Fabiano Caruana?
I take it as I'm the opening batsman, and I'll try to do my best and score the point for India.
All right, Fabiano, you are coming hot off of a big Champions Chess Tour victory. You're also coming right off of a plane, stepping into this arena. So talk to me about how you're going to carry that momentum forward in your matchup against Arjun here, the Silent Killer.
Yeah, I feel really good. I feel inspired by all the people here. The huge crowd, it's really great to see. I feel ready to play. I've been playing chess all week. I'm ready to play some more and hopefully win.
All right, no better precursor than that, y'all. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I want to wish you the best of luck. You may take your positions and let the chess speak for itself. And we're off into game number one. Arjun Erigaisi taking on Fabiano Caruana. The tension has been building the entire day to this Harjit, and away we go. We're blitzing out moves here. It's 10-10.
The games have started. They've already played like 7-8 moves. They've been blitzing out the moves, as you said. Look at the heart rate. Arjun Erigaisi having a heart rate of 100. Fabiano 110.
You know what's crazy about that? Arjun is typically the person on the freestyle circuit that we peg as the lowest, most stable heart rate player. He's already eclipsing some of his highs in certain matchups. That to me tells me already that these players are feeling the environment. They are feeling the pressure of this audience.
Yeah, they're stressed, and you hear the audience in the background. People are cheering on, and we have castles queenside here for Fabiano Caruana. What does that hint at, everybody? It means as he tucked his king away, the black king needs to find a safe space. But Harshit, we see that black position.
They have a bishop pair. I mean, India has the bishop pair right now. When the position is open and black has the bishop pair, it definitely favors black. Black is slightly better here. Arjun playing with the black pieces, having a good position in the start.
Help me understand why the position is slightly better, though, because now we've castled to the same tides. Typically, that, to me, says now we're back in a more stable type of game. We're not going to be throwing as aggressive attacks on opposite sides of the board.
Yeah, we may not be seeing aggressive checkmating attacks. You see the White's last move just clamping down on this square, so no pawn breaks available yet for Arjun Erigaisi. But why is black better? It's because black has the bishop pair with the ability to open the board. I often say the side that controls the pawn breaks is the side with the advantage, and you see with that last move, eventually If able, Arjun would like to push a pawn on the side where his own king resides, and he may find that opportunity sooner rather than later.
And look at that last move. That kind of just shows that Fabi was not happy with this position. He played his knight back to c3, and now Arjun has a big advantage. This is great news for all the Indian fans.
Yeah, a rarity that you would feel good about moving a piece and shuffling it back to the same spot that it just was. The queen will slide over there for Arjun to take the spot that was vacated by that pawn, because I was about to ask the question. Sometimes you create a spot of vulnerability for the king by moving that pawn right in front of it. Seems like he's found a way to stack some defensive pieces.
Yeah, you push a pawn, you leave a square behind. And right now, Arjun Erigaisi, there is a huge threat that white just evaded. That queen move said, no, you're not going to win my queen for your bishop. But now we have a potential bishop trade, and the bishop pair is often an advantage of Harshit. If those bishops come off, maybe then Fabi can start breathing a sigh of relief.
But the pawns on g2, on g3, they're doubled pawns. And as we talk about pawn structure, having this is definitely favorable for black.
That's true. That's definitely true. And it's difficult for white to press, but maybe now is the time. Put your foot on the pedal.
I was about to ask, we also have to have the conversation about, again, that we played a checkmate here, right? And so that has to be a part of your strategy. It's not just about finding, okay, maybe the slightest advantage that, you know, gets played to 80 moves and then ultimately fizzles out to a draw. You got to look for that knockout blow.
Exactly, and look at how the things have turned. The evaluation bar, which was really favoring black, is now favoring white. And this is the space of the game. It's just 4 minutes into the game, and the evaluation bar is swinging like a roller coaster.
And that's why we can sometimes ignore the bar. The players don't have that evaluation bar. They're just trying to figure out the best moves. And you see them jockeying for position, and we hear just raucous crowd behind us. They are just not calming down, and that's great to hear.
No, rightfully so. It's kind of interesting to see how little time has come off the clocks. Again, I wonder how much of that was nerves, that they just felt like they needed to move quicker than maybe they should have in a 10-10. We're not to the 5-5 or the 1-1 just yet. Did either of them move a bit too quick for themselves?
I think they're all trying to adjust to the situation as well. There's so much nerves happening, so many people watching. But right now, Arjun should try to break c5 at some point. I need this break. I need some air in the position.
Well, you push pawn, you leave a square behind. Dash, you asked that question before, like, can you really push pawns in front of your own king? That white knight will slink back, you know, up there and then forward. So that pawn on c6 where it currently sits, that's actually quite important. And that's why we see Arjun, he takes a step back because he wants a new point of entry. Eventually, he probably will bring his knight into the center.
But now that the knight moved from d1, is it time to play c5 now? Will he go for it?
Yeah, it's always important to pay attention to the nuances. And that knight that was on the first rank, it could hop forward into the queenside. Now may be the time. But Arjun, he has shown restraint. Maybe it's actually fear, and he brings his rook up first. So I'm not sure if he's going to feel comfortable pushing more pawns from his king.
If anything, though, I will say he's gotten every single piece off the back rank. So he is trying to gobble up some space slowly but surely. But for the most part, we kind of have a line of scrimmage right there between the 4th and the 5th ranks. Who's going to be the first person? Is it still Arjun looking for that c5 push? Or when is the onus on Fabiano to look for a break of his own?
I don't think Fabiano has a break. So I think that it's basically whether Arjun will break at some point and open the position. I think Fabi is kind of preparing himself for black playing this move pawn to c5. But look at the clocks. 8 minutes for Fabiano, 6 minutes 58 seconds for Arjun. A nice time lead.
But huge mistake there from Arjun Erigaisi, because previously white had no pawn breaks, but after the black f5 pawn became an e4 pawn, the rook on e6, that's staring into its own pawn. And now we hear the crowd, they're going crazy, and maybe they're rooting on Fabiano Caruana.
I know it's going to be hard for you to hear us over them at this point, but I think they're getting excited, and rightfully so. We're starting to see maybe what feels like the shoe is on the other foot. You talked about for so much of the game, it was about Arjun looking to make the move. He's got permission to be on the offensive, and now Fabiano might have found his opening to strike.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much tension happening in g4. Another pawn break by Fabiano, but the evaluation bar has dropped down to equality. Arjun is fighting his way back into the game. This is good news. This is a step in the right direction. a4. Great move, attacking the white queen.
Yeah, that queen steps back in front of the white king. It's actually quite passive for the time being, but what Fabiano is trying to do is leap that knight forward. He already has a passed pawn. Watch out for that one. And if these rooks, they switch flanks all the way over to the king side, they may be able to infiltrate down a newly opened file. So both sides need to be careful. That c5 pawn break, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Fabiano has the easier position to play.
He gets his wish. That knight will find itself located onto the g4 square. But let's talk about which trade each player wants, because I think this is the part of the game where players at my level can really struggle with how to advance forward, identifying what are my strengths and weaknesses in the position as compared to my opponent, and then therefore which of my pieces am I willing to give up and which do I need to hold on to, for dear life.
Such a good question, because right now you see that black has a pawn chain in both directions, and a pawn chain is only as strong as its base pawn. Here that c6, white's forces are lining up to it, and if you ever make a push like b4 thinking you're getting on the attack, that could backfire, because then that lonely pawn on a4, I'm highlighting it for everybody at home, that could become a target, and I won't even call it long term, it could actually fall quite quickly.
And Arjun Erigaisi has down to 5 minutes 20 seconds. He's taking his time. He knows that this is a critical moment in the position. He needs to find a good plan. And I'm not too worried if he gets down to less than 2 minutes, because he's played so many bullet games online that I think that he's going to be very comfortable in making those quick moves.
Gandivam, he better bring that bow and arrow.
While it might be a slightly unusual position for him to be in, again, from my maybe more limited understanding of Arjun's history, any game that I've seen, he's typically the one who's moving faster and is way more of a bank built up when you get to that kind of middle and end games. Here he's still working with a clock disadvantage, but as you say, I think 5 minutes is still plenty for him to play a game and maybe another one after that.
But Fabiano, I mean, as you said in the opening ceremony, he's so hot right now in Rook at 7.
Oh?
Which means that now White has a very important move.
What happened? What are we looking for?
The board is red.
The board is red. Only move, and Fabiano Caruana finds it. Queen back to b1. It's hard to actually fully understand why it's the best move, but he's regrouping his pieces. That queen was lonely, and here it comes. Now it's called the triple on the c file.
Only move.
There's danger here.
There's the legendary triple stack. Hikaru, team captain's very happy to see that right now.
Look at Hikaru. He's peeking this game from behind, and he's very happy. He's very happy with his teammate. Queen to c2. Fabiano playing fantastic chess.
I didn't even realize what's happening, but if this pawn, which looks like it's free, is captured, watch out for ideas like rook takes, sacrificing the rook! Because all of a sudden, the white queen comes in, the black king is hunted.
And pressure on Arjun right now. He cannot take the pawn on e3 because of rook takes d5.
You could see it in his face right now. A bit of stoicism as he's kind of just staring at a blank wall. There's no good options, it feels like, at this point.
Yeah, no good options. If I bring my rook back to h8, trying to control the c8 square, maybe you can just advance. He goes back. He goes back with his rook. He retreats.
And right now you see that the edge is unclear what is exactly the best move. But I think white, Fabiano Caruana, he's doing well on the clock. He's doing excellent on the board. Play it slow. Slow, improving moves look good here. You don't need to rush it, but maybe actually switch on over. And oh my gosh, James, the crowd's going wild.
You can feel the crowd getting behind him. The chants have begun. They're trying to will him over the finish line, because while we have the benefit of that eval bar that you talked about, remember this, the players themselves don't. The audience as well, actually, in our venue does not have the privilege of an eval bar. So while I think everybody has the sense, and I'm sure Fabi has the sense himself, that he is winning, again, you got to find checkmate. You got to actually make it happen. You can't liquidate to the point that we end up in a draw.
And look at the focus that they both have. I mean, even with so much noise in the background, the players are able to maintain that laser-sharp focus. Arjun Erigaisi, I haven't seen him looking anywhere else but the chessboard. He's trying to find any single chance which will allow him back in the game right now. Fabiano knows that he's winning. He's taking his time now. The lead that he had gotten from the start, he's trying to make use of it.
I mean, what a move from Fabiano Caruana. The restraint and the whole point, everybody, is white has passed pawns. Don't just think for checkmate. That's not the only way to win the game, at least in normal terms. Here it is. But what he's trying to do is push his pawns forward. That queen came up to protect what was previously a loose pawn, and now the pawns are rumbling. And for Arjun Erigaisi, he can't keep everything defended.
Look at Fabi. He looked away from the board and gave a sigh of, he breathed a sigh of relief that I think he knows that he has this game in his control.
Yeah, I mean, this guy right now is playing some of the best chess in his career, coming hot off of a win for the Champions Chess Tour. Steps off the plane, he walks in here, and he says, I'm ready to go again. I mean, that to me, I had questions about his energy, about his stamina. You're flying around the world, you're playing different styles and different types of chess, and for him to be able to step off of a plane after flying overnight and put on a performance like this, granted it's not over yet, is impressive to say the least.
And let's think about how he lost in that World Championship he played in rapid tie breaks. he has silenced the critics over the years, but what would it be to win the Grand Chess Tour and then come here to Dallas, Texas, and beat Arjun Erigaisi to start the Team USA off with an absolute bang? I mean, this guy is playing unbelievable chess.
Robert and James, I mean, I've been rooting for Team India. But Fabiano, I mean, this tells so much about his character. It tells so much about his love for the game. I mean, this guy is traveling 10, 12 hours, internationally, coming here, right, with the same intensity. He's right here, and he's doing it in style.
Look, I consider myself to be a degenerate gamer by all standards in terms of the amount of time I've put into video games and the like. I think Fabi might be a bigger gamer than me. He goes from playing chess to playing Avalon to back to playing chess. I don't know when this man sleeps.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about gaming in terms of
And look at him,
the
he's
quality
laughing.
of his play.
He looked at the crowd and he was smiling.
Arjun Erigaisi, he gets a move off, but look at this. His rooks, they are connected, but the pawns, they are marching forward. And you hear the crowd dash. The crowd is chanting for Fabiano Caruana as he continues to press forward.
And the pawn is on the 6th rank now. 2 more squares and he can make a new queen with it.
Yeah, a little bit of a counterattack here from Arjun. He's just trying to make anything happen, right? Give Fabiano something else to think about so he can't follow his game plan anymore.
But look at that. Fabiano is a safer king, so instead of trading queens, which was still objectively winning, he keeps the queens on the board. And this is a good attempt from Arjun Erigaisi. If Fabiano was down on the clock, maybe there'd be some danger with a newly opened file in front of his king. But right now, Fabiano's just up 2 pawns.
It's down to less than 2 minutes. The clock is orange now, which means that this is, he needs to increase his pace of playing, but he has no good moves. It might be too late now.
Yeah, down to 1:30 here is Arjun. You can see there just in his, player camera. I've got to imagine as that clock changes, again, that's just another ounce of obstacle that you have to overcome. You're catching that out the corner of your eye. I know that now I really have my back against a wall.
Yeah, the sweat's not even dripping anymore. It's pouring, and you hear the USA chant behind us as right now Arjun tries to go for an attack against the king, but a new queen is coming.
A new queen on the board. Look at that. Look at the crowd erupting in joy as Fabiano is about to win his first game.
Game 1, we get a promotion on the board. We will see a couple of pieces liquidate, but now you're looking at a queen against a queen and 2 rooks on the other side.
He cannot resign. He cannot resign.
That's true. He has
you have to play till checkmate.
You know, Gukesh had said in that video that we saw earlier in the day, he's kind of excited somewhat to watch some players suffer defeat down the line, and unfortunately the first defeat will be suffered on behalf of one of his teammates. The handshake is extended.
Fabiano Caruana wins the first game. USA leads 1-0 Robert.
And look at that, standing ovation, huge cheers from the crowd as Fabiano Caruana gets it done on home soil for Team USA. They're starting hot.
The crowd erupts, and that's a volcano to start from Fabiano Caruana. Look at the fans cheering for Team USA. Fabi is the champion that Team USA needed.
Exactly right. He's going to help Team USA kick it off on the right foot. But let's talk about how he got it done as he goes back to celebrate and talk with his team about the coming matches. Jules, of course, pulling him to the center. It was a brilliant display there by Fabiano Caruana. Just give me one real recap on what it was that was the finisher for him or where it turned.
Just was a beautiful stretch. He got his pawns going, but let's hear from Fabi himself.
That's a great idea. Down to Jules.
I was winning. The crowd knew I was winning, so I was really happy to hear all the noise.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Congratulations again. Back to the desk for analysis.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, there is so much to analyze in this game. Harshit, first and foremost, the opening stage, it was actually quite quiet. Where did you start feeling like it went wrong for Arjun?
First and foremost, we don't have James in between us now.
Oh,
so it's just both of us. Hey.
Well, I mean, we can fight because Team USA is up 1-0. This seems like it's a nice time for me to get that ball rolling. But Harsh, in all seriousness, let's get into the X's and O's.
Yeah.
Where did you feel like things started to go wrong for Arjun Erigaisi?
I think he had the bishop pair. We were talking in the opening that the advantage where Arjun has in the opening. I feel like when he played this move, bishop to f5, I feel like maybe he could have just kept those 2 bishops, the bishop pair advantage, and just slowly improve his position. Maybe queen e7, maybe at some point try to get his rook from h8 to e8, centralize the position. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of this move, bishop to f5. What do you think?
Yeah, if we can bring up the board and show everybody at home that bishop to f5 in that position. We talk about the bishop pair is a great success for chess players, especially at the highest level like these two players. But in this game, bishop f5, it was objectively a fine move. But as we continued through this one here, the bishops come off. Now the knight jumps. But all of a sudden, Fabi doubles up. He was given access to this side of the board. And if we do scroll forward up in this game, I think a really critical moment here. This is where it started to really turn. Rooks love open files. That's a weak point in White's position. But Harshit, after knight e4, the knights get traded. Black couldn't take with the d pawn. That's why that red screen is there. And then after it takes, g4 happened. The position broke open.
Absolutely. The pawn on f5 was so crucial in stopping this pawn push, pawn to g4, because the black pawn took on e4 with f, and I think this was why Fabiano took the first point.
Yeah, and I'll just scroll forward really quickly a little bit more, because Fabi, he was in the driver's seat. That was clear. His knight leapt into the black position. Knight e5 puts pressure on the c6 pawn. Here, black had to find this move b4. That's almost impossible to find, especially without much time on the clock, because rook takes e6. It gets very chaotic. We can't go into all those details, but in the game, after the trade, taking away from the center, getting ready to push those pawns, the queen reroutes, and Harshit here, it was just beauty. Rook takes d5 was the critical threat.
Yeah, queen to c2, and he spotted this so quickly. He played queen c2, queen beyond queen c2 so quickly. I was so surprised to see this because it's not so easy to see it.
Yeah, I'm just going to show what would happen. Rook takes e3. There's rook takes d5 as an option. If this capture happens, queen c8, king here, and rook c7 check. So this is what would win the queen. But with that, Fabiano Caruana, this didn't happen, but what did happen instead was still absolute domination, because black retreated, white went forward, and then as white crashed through, black sacrificed a bunch of pawns, a new queen appeared, and a few moves later, we did see a check and a mate. So that was game one here, a checkmate, USA versus India. USA 1, India 0. We have the next match coming up, so we'll send it back to the stage and hear what's coming up next.
How about that, y'all? Team USA! Fabiano Caruana! All right, but as we know, it's not over yet. That's only 1 point in the win column for Team USA. So please join me in welcoming the young prodigies. It's Ethan Vaz for Team India and Tani Adewumi for Team USA! Take a moment and drink that in, guys. These are the future stars. They're already stars, but they'll be brighter stars in the future. Ethan, Tani, you guys are the youngest competitors in the field. This is an event like nothing you've participated in before. I'll come to you first, Ethan. What has it been like for you to be on a team alongside some of these other chess legends and to be playing in front of this incredible and very loud crowd?
Been a different experience. Like usually during tournaments we don't have so many spectators, so I'm happy to see so many people. And players like Gukesh and Arjun on my team, it's very amazing. And I'm hoping to do my best in this match.
Wish you the best. Tani, same question to you. You've got the likes of Hikaru, Fabiano, we got Levy, Rozman, we've got Carissa Yip on your team. And then we've got these thousands of people and everybody at home who's waiting on bated breath for your match. How are you feeling about that match? What has this experience been like for you?
This experience has been amazing. I'm really happy for my team, and that Fabi won, that Fabi, Hikaru, Levy, Carissa, and I'm just so grateful that all these people came here to watch all these matches.
All righty. Well, I know you guys have some chess to play, so I want to wish you the best of luck. Take your positions, and we'll get to it. Let's enjoy!
world. And how about that? The heart rate's well up into the triple digits. You could kind of sense it in the way that they were answering those questions on stage. This is a big moment for both of these guys.
This is a big moment. I mean, India did not have the best start, but Ethan has such a good opportunity to equalize the score for Team India. He has played a very solid opening with black. He wants to make sure that he equalizes, and then maybe he'll try to get some advantage. But right now, seems like a solid opening, right, Robert?
Yeah, definitely a solid approach from both players right now. And Dash, I mean, you were up there on stage with them. I could sense their nerves, even in their answers. They're very humble, respectful youngsters, and their brightest chess is ahead of them. But this might be the brightest stage of their career, and I can see it even in their gameplay. Right now, it's very peaceful.
But you had those creeping smiles behind both of their answers, right? And I think that's what excites me the most about these two guys, and the fact they get to play alongside of these other chess greats.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure for someone like Ethan Gukesh and Arjun has been his idol when he's growing up. Now he gets a chance to play alongside them. Not only that, he gets a chance to help that team win.
Yes, in this position right now, Ethan Vaz playing perfect chess, as is Tani Adewumi. And right now, if I were playing Tani's position, he's looking at the Carlsbad structure. That's when these three pawns is one for white here. But you see that white often wants to push forward. Black has stopped that plan. The crowd is roaring, and I think right now for Tani, the knight should start its journey back to the king side, because that knight on c3, dominated by that pawn 3 squares away. I mean, this is just really maneuvering strategic stuff from both players.
And at such an early age, Ethan was showing experience stopping the advance of the minority attack from b2 to b4 to b5. This move pawn to a5, very nice play by Ethan was in the opening.
What would you say for young players is like typically the most difficult element or aspect of chess to master? Is it these types of positions where, okay, most of our pieces are developed, but everything is still pretty locked down, and now it's just about like charting a pathway forward?
1,000,000%. The maneuvering angles of chess. And actually, we see Ethan getting quite aggressive with his knight leaping out to g5. There could be a sacrifice in the position. But to answer your question as succinctly as possible, that yes, with a stage where you don't have a clear target, that is so difficult, especially for juniors who just don't have the experience. But these two are playing a great game thus far. But you could tell, Tani, he's pausing. He does finally bring that knight back, but he's always going to be on the lookout for some kind of sacrifice in front of his king.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the way how Ethan has maneuvered his knight from f8 to e4 now. And he's trying to potentially play g5. I think g5. Maybe it's time to go. It's time to put the pressure.
Ooh.
Not yet, says Ethan. Brings another piece in the game.
I like what you're throwing down, though, Harsha. You know, beforehand, you and I were going back and forth, but this g5 pawn push is a huge opportunity for black right now.
Yeah,
He
it does.
goes
Go ahead.
d7. James, what are you feeling about this position? Because knight d7, the engines don't like it.
Yeah, the engine didn't love it. I kind of don't like it either, because at least it now gives me the opportunity to maybe move my bishop back up and look to chop that knight off. Originally, your knight's positioned there to retake the position. Obviously, we could just shuffle pieces at that point, so it's still an option, but that's what kind of concerns me. From an attacking position to a retreating position, it feels like.
But I'm talking about maturity. Did you see the pause? A pawn was captured, and instead of immediately recapturing, Tani says, wait a second. Typically, we take back a pawn with a pawn of our own. He takes with the rook. Why? Rooks love open files, all the way down to that weak point on b7. And remember what happened to Arjun Erigaisi. The c6 pawn was a weakness. If you push 2 squares, then white shuffles, and then we have the same issue. So learning from the greats, learning from past mistakes, even if they're not your own, that's important. And right now, Ethan's under a bit of pressure.
And to me, this is making Tani's position, or at least his attack plan, feel a little bit more obvious. I'm maybe looking to stack more onto that b file and target that weak backwards pawn by sliding a rook over, something like that.
That's what he
go
did.
for it.
James, you're getting too good.
No, I couldn't hold a candle to anybody else in this building, but I'll take my wins where I can get them, just like I'm sure these players will take their wins where they can get them today.
And right now, I would say that this position is starting to look really dangerous for Ethan.
He goes for g5 and g4.
Whoa.
He realized that he has to find some counterplay, but there is only one move which gives Tani a big advantage. What is that move?
I think I know what it is, but I would be scared if I were Tani. That's why he is paused. Rook takes b7. When I see the evaluation that high, it means I can grab that pawn, I can steal it, and live to tell the tale. But come on, when that black pawn can take in front of the white king, exposing it, that is a really tricky moment. If Tani does take, that shows tremendous bravery.
Yeah, that's such a difficult move to play, but the fact that he is taking the time, to me, indicates that he's considering it. or at least looking for that best option, maybe sensing into position. And that's that intuition that Hikaru was talking about earlier today when we had a Q&A, how intuition in these faster time controls is what you ultimately rely on. Something about this position is speaking to him.
Will he take? No, he doesn't. He does not take. He goes H4.
Oh.
And black is much better now, James.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Black is much better now. He should just push pawn to G3, I think.
That's exactly
Pawn
right.
to
And
G3.
that's the problem, is he was afraid of the capture, but G3 is not.
And then queen infiltrates.
Let's go, Ethan.
Oh.
Is that what it is? It's pawn takes and then queen infiltrates?
The
or
queen will infiltrate. The E3 pawn becomes weak next. You are trying to break down this pawn chain. Everybody at home, remember that a pawn chain is only as strong as the base pawn. This is 3 in a row, but E3 becomes an immediate weakness.
Okay, well, shoes on the other foot. Just a moment ago, the computer was telling us there's a winning move here for Tani by all accounts. Same thing now here for Ethan. It's a matter of whether or not he can find it. Intuition, kicking in. He can sense it, but can he find it?
I'm telling you, this is such a good opportunity for someone like Ethan. The engines didn't like it, but practically this move pawn to G4 was a great idea because taking the pawn on B7 when you're coming towards my king, very difficult. Now Ethan was, if he finds this move pawn to G3, and he's taking his time. He's taking his time. He wants to make sure that he doesn't miss this opportunity because you don't get many.
And he's got time to give, right? Those clocks down at the bottom of your screens, they're color-coded. You're in the green, you're living pretty right now. Once we hit orange and red, that's when you've got to start to get concerned about the length of your decision-making. But this is a critical moment. It's the right place to spend time.
Yeah, that's why we got that square on the board, right? It is bright red, and he does not find the best move, but we can forgive him. And part of the reason why is he was afraid that if he pushed his pawn, white would do the same, and that knight would be in some trouble. So knight to H5, it's a bit odd, and now he finds it. So the second time the charm.
Now he goes G3. The position is getting very tense now. Because let's try to understand, if pawn to F3, hitting my knight on E4,
right?
Can black consider something?
Yeah, why is it that the computer in this situation, we just had one move from either side before this G3 push, and now the computer says dead even, where before it was giving a very solid advantage to black. How does those 1 or 2 moves that we just saw before this change it entirely?
I wish I had the answer immediately.
Fair
if
enough.
so, I would be on that stage playing against all of them. But I think what's happening here is the white knight jumped in front of the black rooks and in front of the black queen, cutting off circulation in the position. F3 played. I do think black can be brave. Throwing the knight into enemy territory behind enemy lines, not only a great movie, but a great idea in this particular chess position.
Absolutely. Knight to F2 and then queen to F6, queen to H4, and threatening checkmate.
Oh, you are a devious man.
Is Ethan the kind of player to play a move like that? Starting with that jump in from the knight F2, it just feels like you're so offsides in the position in a way.
It's a very committal move. He has to decide whether he wants to go all in, and I think it's not a bad time to go all in because you don't want to go back and be passive, especially in a situation where you're down 1-0. Your team really needs you to play aggressive. Yes, you're taking risks, but high risks, high reward.
And you can hear it again. The crowd starting to roar. They're trying to get behind their respective, competitors in this regard, trying to will Ethan Vaz to the victory and an equalization of a 1-1.
Yeah, we heard India start the chant, the fans there, then USA returned the favor. But this is a huge moment in this match because Queen F6 right away, giving up a knight that has to be tempting. It may not work right now, but you know that Ethan Vaz is considering it. He's worked on his tactics. He's worked on his maneuvers. Is it a position that requires the former the latter? Let's throw our hands up in the air because I certainly don't know what to play.
Robert, I know exactly what you're thinking. Queen F6, F takes E4, and Rook takes E5. Something like this.
Yes, Harshit is saying, let's give here.
He
The
goes
knight
for
is
it.
in there,
He goes
but a
for it.
sacrifice eventually. This is a wild position dash.
And only move now. The computer screen is red, which means white only has one move to keep the game balanced. Otherwise, black is going to take over.
Yeah, that's a big piece of technology that we've introduced here for this event in particular. When you see that red border.
And he does nothing.
No.
Oh my God.
Gave us all a heart attack for a
Yes.
moment.
That queen slid to a square where the knight could capture, but look at this move. When we take the actual move played, queen F5 stops black from bringing the queen here, also attacks the black knight. And if that knight were to move, that knight was doing an important job defending. I don't like to use this word out loud, but repetition may be in the air, everybody. Whoa,
Wow.
no repetition.
Not
said
anymore.
Ethan.
No, sir. Ethan was going for the kill. He has just sacrificed his exchange. And I love this. I love this for black.
Another only move on the board here as you see that red border pop up around our 64 squares. I mean, look, y'all, this is the future. These are two of the future of chess right here. If this is not exciting you, the way that they have taken the gloves off and gone at each other, that's what you want to see from some of your young prodigies.
And I'm just not sure whose position I would prefer. I like the material that White has, and we can see that right now White has a bishop and a rook. Black's got these two knights going on, an extra c-pawn. But as we see the position right now, another pawn is hanging. But then Black may just go forward and say, I'm going to checkmate you either on h2 or h1. It's very difficult to see how White runs away. So I think that Tani has to be more careful right now. Ethan's on the offensive. Tani better show great defense.
Especially in this shorter time control, it's very hard to find defensive resources because he's coming right at your king. The knight is on f2. You have no breathing space for your king. You have your bishop on f1, but it's only defending. It's not really having any attacking chances. He takes the pawn on b7.
Wow.
Man.
I have to imagine this is such a tough position where your resources are starting to get stretched thin between attacking and defending, right? When you're sitting in Tani's position, you've launched a bit of a counterattack. Now two of our very, strong, our major pieces are sitting on the opposite side of the board. But while all that said, we're maybe a move or two away of our own king being under threat. So how do you balance, your distribution of resources?
Yeah, I got to have that full board awareness. And look at Ethan. I am so impressed by these two. He took a pawn. That may seem obvious, a free pawn hanging. But I would have been tempted to bring my queen over. But anytime this queen slides, the rook can slide to the fourth rank to defend. So rook takes pawn. That's a measured approach from a youngster. And watch out. There are all sorts of threats on that back rank. And Black has only one move to survive this.
I mean, you want to stop the white queen from coming to g8, the white rook coming to g8. The knight from h5 has to come back to f6 as a defender. I think that's the only move that Black has in this position.
Yeah, now just show it with arrows. The threat is queen to h8 check, taking you away to escape square. And after king goes up, then the rook can join the party. So the knight preemptively stops that rook from giving a check. And if that can't be delivered, maybe it's that Black can then return the favor, go on the offensive.
Yes,
this is just such a nerve-wracking position. I see their heart rates. They're going higher and higher.
But knight f6 is the only move, Ethan. You have to play knight to f6. Cannot allow the white queen to invade.
And again, the chants are beginning. You can see Tani there starting to shake with the rhythm of the audience himself. He's kind of feeling it. I've put my opponent in a tough position. The face of a killer over the chessboard right there.
Oh my goodness. Tani's like, look at this. My pieces are on the final rank trying to deliver the fatal blow. And for Ethan, he has enough time to calculate here. So he needs to find not just this one turn, but the second, the fifth. And that's what these players do. They're calculating so many moves.
He plays it. Amazing.
Defense.
That's amazing.
Okay, finds the only move.
King
now he'll
G6.
go ahead and move his king to safety there by slotting it up. How do we make more progress, though, for Tani? I only have two offensive pieces right now. Is it about bringing that second rook into the game, or am I leaving too much of my defenses now out of the way that it allows Ethan, another avenue for a counterattack?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like the way you phrase it, another avenue, because I'm trying to figure out how does Black actually give the checkmate? Maybe the queen comes over as we talked about, but watch out if the queen gets on this diagonal in line with that white king, which has no moves. So that king, one single check would deliver a mate. So there could be all sorts of discoveries. H5, a pawn sacrifice. What? That pawn can be captured either way, but do not move this knight. It retreated for a reason. If you're going to take it, take it with the king, but I would be so scared, Harshit.
Yeah, I mean, taking on h5 with the king, allowing something like queen to g7 definitely looks super scary, but he has to take. I mean, he cannot play king to, does he really consider king to f5?
Oh.
No way.
That goes against all of my chess knowledge. I'm bringing my king into the center of the board while so many pieces are still on the board. It feels so scary.
And, we've been talking about variants and all sorts of exciting chess formats. King of the Hill is one of them, but that king will probably die on the hill if it goes any further. But right now it's surviving. And actually, I think the tables keep turning. First, I thought that Ethan had to prove himself. Now Tani has to find a follow-up because, well, where are the checks? This knight is a heroic defender. It covers a check on h7. It covered the g8 square as well. Anytime the white queen wants to attack, the knight covers the square.
And Robert, he's allowing white to capture on h6 because queen h6, queen c5, and Black is completely winning.
Oh, yeah, that queen would love to get to c5 as we've been highlighting. The king on f5, I mean, you can't give it a check. So what should white even do here?
This is incredible level that both players have shown so far. It's possible that Ethan will equalize the score. Rook to b4.
The best move.
No way.
This is amazing back and forth chess from these two. They total 30 years of age. They're both 15, and they're playing like they're veterans who have seen it all. And rook to b4, it covers key squares, making sure the black queen can't infiltrate. It also just can get in the attack if black is not careful. But queen c5 would still tempt me
Can
in
you
many
show
of these
that
positions.
move? Queen c5, rook f4 check.
Oh,
la la.
Sacrificing the what?
The rook! It's mate. Can you show
Giving
that?
up the rook for checkmate. We can show that in detail perhaps in our
Crazy,
analysis. But
crazy.
that is the point. Great find by you.
A great find by Tani, too, because I have to
E5.
imagine that was a bit of the idea. Okay, maybe our first big mistake here by either of the players, at least as is evaluated by our computer. But it does, again, indicate that there's one move and one move only to really capitalize on it.
The problem is that move is fairly obvious. Rook attacking a black queen. Now the 6th rank is open, and that's the start of a problem. But perhaps at the end of the game, there's still so much to prove for Tani Adewumi. And for Ethan, he's trying his best. He's trying to find all the right continuations. But I think the fact that the black queen and king will be tethered to this loose knight, that means that black can't go on the full offensive.
Now, both players have moved below 2 minutes on the clock, so you can see the colors change. They're going to get a glimpse of that out of the corners of their eyes. So well aware of the time, and he does find that move. You said it wouldn't be too difficult for him to find, and a player like Tani will find it.
And Ethan was down to 1 minute 30 seconds. His heart rate has reached 150. He's nervous. He knows that c5 perhaps was not the best move. Tani now needs to finish the game. He has a winning position, but guys, flagging is on the table.
Yeah.
You can lose on the clock.
This is true. There are many avenues to victory here in this format, and so it's a never say die attitude, rather, that I think will serve both of these players as we get to the end game. But just referencing those heart rates, I mean, these guys, their hearts are running a marathon while their brains are playing the highest level of chess.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're able to withstand because they're not used to this environment, and they are very young and they're growing as chess players. And we're talking about marathons, we're talking about sprints. It's kind of both in this format. And wow, rook c1 hitting opponent c5. It looks like a very good move. I guess it's not under attack if this knight moves away, but right now there's a huge threat of a sacrifice. But trading is bad for the side down material.
Yeah, you should never trade pieces when you're down material. But of course, with so much pressure, with this little time, Ethan was making a mistake there. Rook takes e6. Tani shaking his head, looks at his opponent. He glimpsed at his opponent there. He's like, what was rook to e6? Ethan was now trying to think how to capture back. But yeah, look at the teammates. They know it's over. They know it's over.
Yeah, they're feeling good about Tani's position for sure. On the other side, of course, Team India still talking it through, trying to look for those avenues for Ethan to weasel his way out of what is a very tricky situation. We will have the trade of the rooks completed. Now the pawn falls as the queen vacated the defense.
This is over. This is over. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Bam, bam,
well,
bam.
Boom, boom.
The problem is when you're down as much material as Ethan is, you do not want to trade queens. The queens are off, which is any hopes of an attack. They're out the window, and you can see what Tani is doing. He says you are going to be split across this board, stopping both these pawns. But black does have a pretty dangerous pawn of his own, so that's Ethan's one hope.
Yeah. King's worst enemy, right? Pawn sitting on A and H files at the same time. There's no way you can defend both in the end game. And at this point, he's also only working with 2 knights as minor pieces. Now with this much material off the board, typically that's where I'm looking back at, okay, bishops, long diagonals, able to maneuver with a lot longer of a scope, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Tani knows this. He has this in the bag. He's up on exchange. He has this passed A pawn. Knights are notoriously bad defenders when there are outside passed pawns, and I think Tani, with this material advantage, should be able to convert.
But I think this is one of the blessings of the format of this event, because this is a very instructive part of the game for players who are not grandmasters, who are not titled players, right? This would maybe be a place where you could see Ethan saying, okay, I recognize the game is over, and it would be a resignation in another format. Here, we get to see it play out. We get to see the ideas of how to capitalize on a position so that I can now go home and maybe take some of those learnings and put them into my own games.
But what's wild is his only move, and he finds it.
Wow.
Bishop takes pawn. And I think the reason why was the black king was going to chase that white rook around from stopping it from promoting, and he gives up his bishop for a more valuable prize. The A pawn is trying to become a queen.
And look at all the American players there, all the Indian players as well, standing up.
Flagging,
only move.
Flagging is still
Rook
an
C6.
option.
12 seconds.
Oh, he's letting a lot of time slip, though, here. It was equalized at 14 seconds, but now it's looking tough Again, they do get 1 second increment below 1 minute, so Tani should be able to bring this one over the finish line. He's going to march that pawn all the way down. The queen promotes a second promotion across 2 games here in Arlington, Texas.
Man, this is tough. This is tough. The Indian players have their task cut out because 2-0 lead for Team USA is on the cards.
Did you see that shake of Levy's head? He is in awe of these 2 youngsters and what they have performed here on this stage.
I don't think I've ever seen this material count before. With 2 knights versus a queen and 2 pawns, you can see the difference there. The knights, they're trying their best, but those pawns with the queen, it's too much to deal with. And it's a check, great, 1 check only, but that knight is gone. The second knight will fall next. And this is a game that's going to be played a checkmate, but of course the players know it's over, even with under 10 seconds per side.
Nope, still got to get it done, so you can see them blitzing out moves. We don't expect players at this level to make mistakes with only this material on the board. And you can see the smiles on their faces. You got to love it.
Well, they're not used to playing this position out.
You never
Knight
won.
versus queen. And there's a 50-move rule in chess, right? The referee, maybe they'll be looking out for it because the players have so little time they can't keep count. But if the position, 50 moves are played without a capture or a pawn move, the game ends in a draw.
Look at this though, Tani.
Yeah.
It's moving like clockwork. He's forcing his opponent all the way to the back range. Delivers checkmate. Tani Talua Adewumi gets point number 2 for Team USA.
What a game that was. Tani Adewumi. Remember that name.
Seriously.
I mean, we also have to give credit to Ethan. He was fighting so hard that he found his only moves, knight to f6. He was trying to put some pressure on Tani, but Tani in the end found really nice tactics to win the game. USA is now up 2-0. India is in serious danger in this match.
They're gonna have to put together the reverse sweep. 3 in a row for India. For Team USA, they're feeling good, sitting pretty at 2-0, and it comes off the back end of Tani Talua Adewumi. And of course, we're gonna have a moment with him on stage. Jules is standing by. Let's take a look.
Team USA. Now, the match has not been won, but you have won your personal game. So I must ask, how are you gonna celebrate tonight?
Maybe have a nice dinner or something, but I'm really happy that I won. And hopefully my team finishes the rest.
Thank you. All right, are we ready for more chess? In just a few minutes, we are gonna see our next game. For now, we're gonna go back to the desk with analysis.
Thank you, Jules. Always great to hear from the winning player. And as we dive into the details of this previous game, it was back and forth Harshit, but ultimately, it seemed like Tani was able to keep cool when it mattered most.
Absolutely. I mean, there were these few moments in the middle game, especially after Ethan was sacrificed his exchange on e5. If we can go towards that position, I think that's where the game turned in Tani's favor, because there was a point where there was a possibility of repetition for Ethan was.
Let's bring that up right now, and we'll run through it. That in this game, there was a critical moment starting on move 26 for the black side. So in that game, the move G3 was what was being called for. It's just trying to break open White's position. And if G3 had been played, it gets complicated after move F3 because we have the engine here. The players do not. The best move is the most ridiculous move I've ever seen. Queen D8.
What?
I'm sorry, I give up. Chess is the hardest game ever. No, it's a lot of fun, always deep, rich resources. I still don't understand what I'm seeing here, but it must be tied to some ideas with this queen eventually getting to deliver a checkmate. So Harshit, we can forgive the players for missing this.
Queen, I mean, as you rightly said, we still don't understand why this is so good for black. But apparently, the white king on G1 is very vulnerable. It seems and black had a winning advantage, but this is just too tough.
Yeah, I'm just going to show that pawn takes, rook takes is the start of a pretty vicious attack. So that's what the engine says. That is beyond human capabilities. In the game, the white knight stepped forward. And around here, where this all happened, this could have been a draw. Knight to G7, queen to F4, knight H5, going back and forth, protecting the loose pawn, attacking the white queen. It only has 1 square to go, and that's a merry-go-round that you can't get off of. So in this game instead, we have to applaud the players. They fought in Harshit. Rook takes E5. All of this was good, but tell me, where did you feel like Ethan started falling off and going a little bit wrong?
After this move, pawn to H5 check.
Okay, the check was given, and then the king went to F5.
what do you think about just capturing the pawn on h5? Because in the end, that was the pawn which was also causing some trouble for black. So why could we just capture that pawn on h5 immediately?
Yeah, maybe that would have been a bit safer, but nothing looks safe in a position like this. The queen comes in, one check would be checkmate to the black king. Rook comes to e7. You see that the engine says only move for white, only move for black. You could forgive the players under the duress of time trouble. But as the game continued, as this game went forward, the black king was in danger. And then I think here is where it was just over, because once the queens come off the board, white has a rook, and black only has a couple minor pieces. The pawns are going, so that really was where things got at hand. So Harshit, a tough one for Team India.
Definitely a tough one. It could have been anyone's game, you know, because it was so complicated. One mistake by Tani and Ethan would have been the winner. But today, it was Tani who brought Team USA the full point.
The second full point for Team USA. That means they are 1 point away from winning this checkmate showdown. Team India needs a win. Divya Deshmukh and Carissa Yip are up next. We'll throw it back to the stage where Dash has both players who are going to be very stressed in a must-win game for Team India.
All right now, y'all. It's 2-0. The pressure is on for Team India as we move into the third match of the day. So next up, join me in welcoming, representing Team India, it's Divya Deshmukh. And on the other side of the board, representing Team USA, Carissa Yip. Alrighty, Divya. It's a difficult position to be in. A 2-0 scoreline at the moment, but the reverse sweep is still in play. So I'm turning to you. How confident are you that you can get that first point on the board for your team?
I'm pretty good.
Oh, come on. I know you a bit better than that. Tell me what you're really feeling about this matchup.
It's quite an interesting situation. I haven't been in a must-win for a while, so yeah, I think I'm gonna be fine.
Okay, she thinks she's gonna be fine. Carissa, you could end it all right here in terms of the overall series scoreline for Team USA. So are you feeling any added pressure being on the precipice of that? Do you feel like you've got the cushion? And what do you make of this matchup against Divya?
Honestly, yeah, I'm feeling good. My teammates are amazing, obviously, and I have a lot of confidence for today.
All right, well, you're trying to get it done on home soil for Team USA. We're trying to extend it over here for Divya. Give it up one more time, everybody. Divya Deshmukh, Carissa Yip. Best of luck to the both of you. Take your positions, and best of luck.
Divya, are you ready? Start Waits clock.
And there is kickoff between this game between Carissa Yip and Divya. This is the board where all the Indian fans are going to, you know, put down and say that Divya Deshmukh has to win now.
It's a bit of a do-or-die situation here for Team India when it comes to the overall series scoreline. But I got to be honest, Robert, if I had to pick somebody from Team India to be in that third position, down 2-0, I think it's a player like Divya.
You mean you'd pick the person who won the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right.
And
Maybe it was an easier decision than I made it
and
seem.
And also won the Tata Steel Rapid after not even being initially invited and being a replaced player, not preparing. Yeah, Divya is unbelievable. And the format actually helps in this way because normally you could get 2 draws to get to your 3 points. Here, a draw means you play a quicker time control. And both these players, they're skilled in all disciplines, but I think for Divya, it means that a draw is not the end of the world, where it might feel that way if it counted towards the final score.
That's an interesting point. It is true that you don't necessarily, while it's difficult to find draws in this format, there is the possibility of it, and then you still have that opportunity to put the point on the board in the 5-minute or the 1-minute portions.
And this is such an interesting situation for Divya because, as she rightly said, she's never been in this must-win situation before. So she's in unfamiliar territory right now. I think she's going to raise her level even more because she knows India has to win all 3 games now in order to win this matchup.
And you say in unfamiliar territory. I think she's in unfamiliar territory on the board because a knight was just captured. And normally when a piece is swapped, you capture immediately. She has 2 separate ways to take that knight.
Okay.
If she takes away from the center, the queens can come off.
I was going to say, typically I'm told to capture towards the center. In this case, she captures away. So the logic there being what exactly?
A logic being that this bishop is not a very good piece, and that pawn would have been a backwards pawn. Okay, that scared me.
A heart attack for everybody.
They should have me on the heart rate monitors.
That was a scary moment. But of course, we are back to a more stable position again. Computer, though, still favoring a bit here. Carissa Yip's position in the end. What about it does it like? Does it just like that it has a little bit of control there on the e5 square from the pawn, so I'm sort of locking down the position from black?
You actually made the most key point, the pawn on e5. That's the big difference in the position right now because of that pawn, the bishop on c8 is completely trapped. It cannot really find any good square, and this next move, pawn to c4, is going to give white access of the d line as well. The bishop on b4 also not really well placed, so it's basically piece activity which gives white such a big advantage.
Well, and there you have it. The chance continue throughout the evening here on both sides of the fandom, right? Again, a lot of people feeling the pressure here on behalf of Divya in a way. And again, we have the benefit of the eval bar. Computer is not loving the situation. It's looking scarier and scarier.
Wait, the piece is trapped.
Oh.
Robert,
yes.
c4 now, attacking the knight on d5. Play.
She finds it immediately.
The knight goes back. Okay, goes to a safe square. So if the knight went to e7, then the bishop would have been trapped, but the bishop now has a square to come back to. So that's the difference with the knight moving here, but it looks so bad. I think we can agree that right now white is leaping into the position. Bishop g5, taking away that escape square that we were just talking about. And that bishop may even go to trap this knight at some point if you're not careful.
And bishop, there is a very nice move. Can people in the chat find it? Bishop g5, pawn to h6, and she finds it. What a move! What a move!
Yeah, that is a nasty
Walk
move.
me through it.
Because the knight now is under attack. So that means the knight should move out the way. But if the knight moves, then that bishop gets trapped because the e7 square, which I was claiming was an access point, no longer is. The bishop covers it. This bishop will get trapped. The knight interposes. You hear the crowd. They're like, whoa. I would never consider that. A pawn would take the knight. But if the pawn takes the knight, then the bishop is captured. Yes, white will be ahead by at least a pawn in these lines. But Divya's hoping, at least hoping against hope, that she can survive from there.
She takes the knight on d5. After you take my bishop on d8, pawn to d6. Again, you know, in all the 3 games so far, the white pawns have been marching so close to the final rank. It's crazy. I mean, we can see 3 promotions. Potentially.
We could. There's a possibility of a 3rd promotion across 3 games in this one. Divya, though, is still going to fight tooth and nail to prevent that from happening. Now, I would think that pretty immediately you grab back that bishop, but is the consideration whether or not to snap up the pawn and kind of create that chain of 3?
That's exactly right, yeah, because if you take this pawn on d5, you also threaten this knight on e4. So that there is a bit of depth to this position. This is one of those where you really need to analyze several moves ahead, because actually, after pawn takes pawn here, it does look like 2 pieces are under attack. And, well, there's a bit of mystery in the air, but Harshit, I see you, you're chomping at the bit. You know, white does have a big opportunity now.
Yes, and she plays it immediately, without even thinking. She's like, you have attacked 2 of my pieces, let me attack 1 more piece of yours. White is up a piece. If you take my bishop on d8 right now, don't forget that my rook on d1 does pin the pawn on d5, which would stop you from capturing my knight on e4.
I think that's one of the things that always impresses me the most about high-level chess is the ability to stack and order threats in a way that, again, at a level like mine, you're looking, as soon as a threat is created, you want to either answer the threat, right? You know, you like trade off, answer the threat, and go back to 0 threats on the board. Here, it's threat answered with threat. And now it's about the calculation and the move orders of how you would take things.
Yeah, you see some threats here from the white side. These are the threats. The bishop would take a pawn, the rook would take a pawn. Not serious. But from the black side, there's all sorts of pieces hanging in the air. But as Harshit pointed out, after pawn takes bishop, you cannot take that knight successfully because the rook was hanging. That's where Divya had to spend a turn. She's down a minor piece for just a single pawn.
She's just down a piece for no compensation. I saw Carissa turning towards the audience there, giving a smirk. She knows she's winning. She knows if she wins this game, it's a clean sweep.
There was swagger in that chair swivel, if I do dare to say so myself. She is, I think, maybe feeling a bit like she is on the precipice of locking it up in 3-0 fashion for Team USA here in the first ever checkmate event.
And I think we hear people just rooting Divya on. They know that she's in trouble. They can count the pieces. And here the piece number does really matter. White has a knight and a bishop. Black only has one bishop and only one extra pawn for that lost piece. So people, they're rooting Divya on. There aren't that many pieces on the board. So that in some ways can say, okay, if my opponent blunders another pawn, I'll have a chance. But you can see Carissa playing. She's playing with purpose. She pushed her pawn forward, no back rank checkmates, brings her bishop into the game. The rooks could double at some point. All the right moves.
This is not looking good. And also, you know, just like in football, if there are 6 versus 5 players, that's usually a bigger advantage when there's 11 versus 10 players. So with less pieces on the board, sometimes the advantage can increase for the white pieces.
Now you say that, but what's another thing we always talk about in traditional sport? The extra man, which is the audience behind you. And that's, again, I think an interesting thing for me about this event. How will they play a role in the results of the game? How have they already? I mean in terms of the energy that they're injecting their players with. You've got the hometown versus the away team, and we talk all the time about dealing with the environment, the noise, the pressure, those who are cheering, rooting against you and rooting for you, and will they be able to be the person who wills you across the finish line?
Do you hear those oohs and ahs?
Yeah,
I mean, that is just, that's a beautiful move. Chef's kiss. Knight to e4 actually might be the kiss of death in this current game, because now it attacks a new pawn. Wait, what are you talking about? That knight is hanging, but just like Harshit mentioned earlier, for a second time, there is a pin that is being exploited, and that is just a beautiful choice from Carissa Yip.
She asked herself what piece of mine was not doing anything. It was that knight on g3. She's maximizing the position of all her pieces. Divya Deshmukh is hears the crowd shouting. She knows she's in a bad position.
I mean, I'm in a position where I'm looking at, next moves for Carissa is bringing that knight up to f6 with a check on the king. You're kind of locking that knight into that position. Can't be traded off because my opponent doesn't have a dark squared bishop or anything that can trade easily for it, and I've already advanced some of my pawns. So again, the recipe here feels pretty simple for Carissa to follow. Is there a wrench that Divya can throw into that? Can she sneak an ingredient into that recipe that Carissa is not thinking about?
I think Carissa is right now just playing with too much poise. Because had she taken this loose pawn immediately, then at the end of the trades, it might be hard to visualize for people, but this pawn was loose and black then would have a passer. So what Carissa is doing is she is maintaining her composure. She's also restricting Divya from finding any semblance of counterplay. I mean, this is just a one-sided affair, and for Divya Deshmukh, it couldn't come at a worse time.
Yeah, I mean, not only are these players playing for national pride, not only are they playing to learn them something by themselves, to improve for all the spectators here, there is also something tangible that they can win. Tag Heuer, one of the official sponsored, watch broadcasters of this event, is giving away a watch to every single player of the winning team.
Yeah, and these are watches designed for this event, alongside the clock that they designed for this event. An incredible partner. We're lucky enough to sport some of those Tag Heuer watches on the broadcast today.
What time is it? It's a good time here.
It is a good time. It's a good time for Carissa Yip, I'll tell you that. She's looking at a possible Tag Heuer watch to bring home.
Oh, she absolutely is. And Team India is watching their chances go out the window, and there's a lot of support. So many fans came here for Team India. They've been rooting them on each and every game, but there's not much to root at the moment. I know as commentators we want to liven up the game, but if we're just being honest, this is a demolition. This has been one-sided, and Divya did not play particularly well out of the opening, but Carissa has given her no chances thus far.
Already with the pawn on e5, the knight on f6, I see mating patterns, Robert. I see mating patterns with the rook coming into g8. That would be checkmate.
And the clock, to a degree, kind of tells that story, right? The fact that not even 3 minutes has left the clock of Carissa just tells me that there's really never been a point in this game where she's second-guessing the position or what her next move needs to be. Instead, the onus has been on Divya this entire time to find an answer, being immediately set on the back foot.
And I think she just felt a ton of pressure because her previous two teammates lost their game. She knows that a loss is unacceptable, but you can't think about the result in chess. It's an objective game. And as soon as you start thinking about the result, you're not really playing chess anymore. You're playing, hope chess. I need to win chess. That can't happen. And for Divya, I mean, she would love to win this game. Look at that last move, pawn to a3.
Wow.
She's trying to throw a spanner in the works, and it is a confusing choice.
I mean, whenever you're losing, you always want to change the character of the position. That's what I try to teach my students, that you always try to make it complicated. And I think A3 is making the position complicated, but Carissa showing so much experience, taking 30 seconds of her time and just chopping that pawn back on A3.
I love that idea, though, changing the character of the board. It's a great word, and it's a good picture, ultimately, because it is such a visual game, and I think when it comes to learning concepts, like that is a great way to, for myself now, to now think about the way I approach an endgame. Things aren't going well for me. Change the character of the game. Change the pace of the game.
And sometimes it's not about the quantity of pawns, but the quality. And by giving away one pawn, you sprung free a lane. And that's like a block in the NFL, right? You just make sure that lane is open, and here the rook would be under attack. And that's exactly what's going on right now. And you see the red box, only one move, it is found. This bishop is defended enough times for the moment, and that's more pressure on this piece. But this is where, retreating moves come to mind, bishop here. But Divya wants that move to happen, Harshit.
I'm sure. I think Carissa is going to take her time right now, and she's just going to be ruthless and take that pawn on C3. It seems like I'm blundering my bishop on D5, but this recurring pin that has been happening on the D line is going to... Yes, she does it. She does it. And we're going to see all of those moves. And that's why Divya takes back with the rook on D5.
Smart. Smart. The only chance to stay in this game. And you see now it's a bishop for black compared to a rook for white, but white also has 2 extra pawns, and that's really what tells the main story. Because if it was only bishop versus rook, there'd be good chances for Divya to hold, but that A pawn, just like in the previous game.
So let's talk about outs. While I know there aren't many here for Divya in this situation, yes, we're playing through to checkmate in most situations, but there is still avenues to draws, technically. But are there avenues to draws with this game state is the next question.
Honestly, Carissa is making chess look so easy right now. She has been playing phenomenally well. She gave no chances to Divya. And for everyone watching to understand, I mean, it's very difficult to do this, to outplay someone like Divya right from the opening and play so effortlessly. I don't see any chances for Divya as of right now to come back in this game.
And you hear the fans, they're chanting on Team USA. They sense the end is near. I would say that maybe Divya will try to push a pawn here, try to create a weakness there. But what Carissa has done is kept everything under control. You want pawn chains. This is what's going to happen. Just make sure that all your pawns are safe. And yeah, that's Connect 4. Different game, but still a winning idea.
David Howell's favorite game, as I've become aware with my time
next
to him. He will declare any game won when 4 pawns have connected into the middle of the board. But it's the right moves to make, right? It's calm, steady play here from Carissa, getting those pieces into slightly improved position, getting the king to start marching down the board. Okay, the Connect 4 has been defeated. Maybe in a game of Connect 4, Divya has a chance, but in a game of chess, it's not looking good.
You'd have to reverse their time situation because you see that Divya is under a minute, Carissa has more than 5. If those were reversed, then we'd say, wait, you have to find accurate continuations, but you don't have time to calculate. So here for Divya, she's doing all the right stuff. Honestly, wait a second, you do need to watch out. If that black rook gets behind the passer, it's not so easy to move. The black king is very active. Exactly what you want in an ending. Use the king as a weapon.
Okay, I have a crazy idea. An illegal move.
Illegal move?
Can you sneak an illegal move in? That Carissa accepts.
Just take off that white rook off the board?
Well, or just position a piece in a way that, again, maybe Carissa goes, I think that's still good for me, right? Because now you're forcing your opponent to decide whether or not they want to hit the claim on the illegal move or let it go.
I mean,
and that just introduces a spanner into the works, as you say.
That is true. That would create some serious confusion. But honestly, what she's doing without making illegal moves, all of these rational moves from the black side, she just gobbled up a pawn. You ask about counterplay, watch out. That could be a danger. This rook can slide back behind that passer, and if you put both your rooks in the line, bishops are good at skewering pieces like this.
Exactly. And the good news for Divya is that the promotion square for that A pawn is a light square. So at the very least, my bishop is still not fully out of the game in terms of its defensive prowess.
That's a very good point. The bishop on E6 can control that A8 square, and she's just pushed the pawn, but rook behind the passed pawn, that's always a great square for the rook to be behind the passed pawn, and the H pawn is rolling.
Oh my goodness, this is a serious game all of a sudden. Both players are trying to get their pawns rolling forward. White, Carissa Yip trying to bring her king up their dash, but it's a mad dash. Both sides are trying to get those pawns to the other side.
It's a race. It's a race. I do think White is a few steps ahead in this range. She gobbles up another pawn on F4. King C5.
So what do I have to do? If I keep running my king, okay, we're gonna move the rook instead, because I'm thinking we don't want to undefend that pawn in the center of the board at the same time, but that king does need to get involved ultimately to get the pawn to the promotion square.
And allegedly, in kind of a situation where many moves look good, you can bring your king backwards or forwards. But I think what the idea is to try to remove the defender of this pawn here and send their rook checks to distract the white king from the deep rook on d6. I mean, there are serious chances for Divya. I mean it when I said if the clocks were reversed, I would say Divya actually has quite decent chances to hold. But Carissa's doing the right thing. She's calming herself down. She has enough time to calculate this game through.
If I were to ask you before the game, what are the chances for there being 3 promotions in 3 games, I don't think anyone would guess in their wildest dreams.
No, I would have never guessed. Even knowing already that this format was going to definitely produce some wild results and some funky games, I would never have thought we'd see 3 promotions across 3 games, and we're staring down the barrel of one right now.
And some nerves suddenly at play here for Carissa. She was smiling earlier. Of course, the game was completely objectively winning, but you have to complete the objective. You have to finish the game. And right here, there's this big choice. And this e5 pawn, you hear the crowd cheering on Divya.
Can I just chop your bishop with my rook? Just give up, take a piece. Now the pawns are blockading each other, and I'm looking to push my pawn down the board?
Yeah, you would love to get that pawn going. And I think right now the issue is she goes in the right direction. If this rook were to move, down went the a-pawn. So up it goes instead, giving up this rook on d6 to get a new queen.
Exactly. If the rook gives the check on c4, the king would be forced to move and lose control of the d6 square. But then the white pawn on a7 is going to promote, make a new queen. That's going to be game over.
3 seconds on the clock here for Divya. She'll get a second back per move that she makes. She's going to look for the check, but it's going to remain on the A file here, just keeping an eye on that pawn. But at this point, the king moves to defend it and threaten the rook at the same time.
Time
is out.
There
it is. That's a flag and a victory for Team USA. Carissa Yip gets it done against Divya Deshmukh and will bring Team USA to the series victory. 3-0. It's a sweep.
Clean sweep. Get your brooms out here. And Harshit, I know you're shaking your head, but when all was said and done, Team USA, they got it done in time scrambles and early stages as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the game started off being so close, but as you rightly said, in time scrambles, the Indian players maybe too nervous. Not sure what happened there, but Team USA has done it.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is an unforgiving format, right? The demands that these players play all the way to the end. But let's go to the stage now, as you saw Jules, who is standing by with Carissa.
You have just clinched victory for Team USA. Now, I must ask, when did you know that you had secured victory?
I thought it was pretty clean after Bishop d8, but things got a little bit messy there at the end. It was for the fans. No, Divya played really well. I think she came back from a pretty iffy position. I got really stressed at the end there, but thankfully I kind of managed to pull it out. So.
Absolutely. Well, a huge congratulations. Let's give it up for Carissa. The match may have been clinched, but we still have 2 very exciting games to go. It's what we've been waiting for, so stay tuned with that. For now, we're going to go to the desk with analysis.
Oh, thank you, Jules. And Carissa Yip is the celebrated party. If they were giving out MVP awards, maybe she would receive it. But Harshit, for Divya Deshmukh, she never was able to quite get into that game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought that this is going to be the game where Divya is going to win 1 point. But I think the pressure was too much. With being down 2-0, she had to win this game on demand with the black pieces against someone like Carissa, who was just she was cool as a cucumber. I mean, she had everything under control from the beginning.
Yeah, she said it was a smooth effort after a certain point, but let's bring up the chessboard and show where Divya paused. When her knight was captured, she didn't know exactly how to capture back. She wasn't certain, but as we look at the analysis, we can see that things started to unravel very early in this game. So as we bring it up, we'll show everybody how things went wrong for Divya Deshmukh. She decided to take away from the center, and once the queens got traded, Harsha, she couldn't protect her weak squares.
Exactly, and also I think for the match situation where you have to win with the black pieces, I think it would have been a better practical decision to take on c6 back with the b pawn, keeping the queens on the board, keeping the complications alive, because as you rightly said, after dc6, the position was too simple and white had a very straightforward path to getting an advantage.
Yeah, the queens came off the board, then the knight avoided a trade, and here was the moment. If we take a step back, c4 was a move that Harsha was calling out for, a huge threat, not just controlling more squares and kicking a knight from the center, but threatening to trap a bishop. So as we went forward here, after a big blunder, if the knight went back to the center, a3 immediately traps the bishop. The knight took it square away. Bishop c5, pawn to b4, that's it. That's your piece. That will be game over. Match win USA. But in the game, the knight went to c7, thinking the bishop could retreat safely to e7, but not so fast. Harsha, this was beautiful. Carissa develops with purpose.
Bishop to g5, so decisive. And also, let's talk about the time management. Carissa had been playing so fast the whole game. She was always putting Divya under the pressure, not only on the board, but also on the clock. Bishop to g5, and after h6, this is my favorite move. I think this is, for sure, the move of the game. After pawn to h6.
You don't get a queen for getting your bishop to the other side, but maybe you should. I mean, this move, bishop to d8, threatened the knight on c7. As all those arrows were showing, the bishop no longer can retreat to that one safe square, and that's why Divya tried to take matters into her own hands. It was a really tough moment here. I mean, if she tried to bring her knight over to the rim, then the bishop gets trapped in the same exact manner with pawn to b4. And yeah, the bishop can slide out the way and attack the white bishop, but a very simple retreat, and Harsha, that's all that was going to take.
Exactly. And I think after bishop to d8, I think that key move gave Carissa the full point.
Yeah, and just to show what happened, the knight sacrificed itself, and here the pawn was captured, and this is just a wonderful move, a3, and the whole point, everyone, is that you can only take one white minor piece, and the black bishop is still trapped. So in the game, the bishop was captured, pawn takes, and no, this knight should not be captured, because rook takes, rook is free, and then white is up too much material. So Harsha, there was just no chance after this point.
No chance after this point. Carissa Yip wins the match for Team USA 3-0 against India. But still, there are two brownie points to play for, and those are two big brownies because we have Sagar playing against Levy Rozman, and also the match that we are all waiting for, Hikaru Nakamura taking on the world champion Gukesh. So stay tuned. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Yeah, we'll be back in 15 minutes, everybody. Enjoy the Dippin' Dots. Enjoy the smoothies. Have a good time if you're here in the arena. And if you're at home, do not miss Gotham Chess versus Mr. Chess Base India himself and the world champion against the world number 2. That's Gukesh against Hikaru Nakamura. We'll be back in 15, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Checkmate USA versus India, here live from the Esports Arena in Arlington, Texas. For those of you who are here, how are you enjoying the event so far? Get loud! All right, well, I got good news for those of you here who have been having a blast all night. For those of you at home who are equally enjoying the event, the organizer of this event intends for this format to be recurring, and I'm happy to announce that the intention is for this to develop into a fully nationalized league, the National Chess League, Eastern, Western conferences, and seeing matches like this in front of live crowds like you on the regular. Is that something you're excited about? And I'd say rightfully so, because so far these players have delivered every step of the way. And while, of course, the series has been decided in 3-0 fashion, with Team USA taking it fairly dominantly, we still have 2 more matches to go. And there is plenty on the line for the remaining players when it comes to personal and national pride. So now, to our penultimate match of the evening, please join me in welcoming Sagar Shah from Team India and Levy Rozman from Team USA. Now you two are no strangers to having major audiences in your own way. But typically you interact through your audiences through the internet, across a screen, having that barrier. Sorry, let me get out of your way then. Fine, stare each other down. Let's go. But no, my question to you, Sagar, is while you can't necessarily get it done for Team India, you can wipe that little smirk off that man's face. So how do you intend to do it?
Right now, I'm just staring into his soul, and there's nothing to lose. Let's go.
All right. Well, Levy, I did take a moment to watch some of your content this week leading up to the event, and you were talking a little bit about prep and going through some of your previous matches here with Sagar. And you said, well, look, if I don't prep and I don't know what I'm going to do, there's no way he can counter me. Is that what you're coming in with, or do you have a secret strategy in the bank?
I still don't know my first move, and I won't know it until my hand decides it for me. I would even let Sagar pick my first move, but...
Now the gauntlet's been thrown, and I'm going to take my own liberties to say that we'll allow it if you choose to accept, but that is entirely on you. Do you want to pick his first move or no?
I think I'll let the crowd decide what the first move should be.
Okay. Get loud! Are you hearing one move above the rest?
I do. I think you will be entertained, and also you all look great tonight. Thank you for all your support, and...
All right, y'all. Two of the most known figures in the chess world, Sagar Shah and Levy Rozman. Gentlemen, take your positions, and best of luck!
Levy, are you ready? Sagar, are you ready? Start White's clock.
And the most exciting game of this, one of the most exciting, has started. And the first move, bird's opening, pawn to f4.
Now, as I take my seats, I'm coming in just as a few moves have been made. Levy had said he was willing to let Sagar make the first move for him. Then it was turned to the audience. What did we land on there, and how do you guys feel like it kind of shakes up the game from the get-go?
For Levy, he played f4, and maybe it's because there's going to be a new Gotham course and obscure openings. Typically not recommended, because anytime you push a pawn near your king, it opens up diagonals. So this diagonal here is exposed. That's the golden pawn in chess. F2 and F7 here, because it keeps the king safe.
Now, pawn to F4, it opens the door. And now your king is in a very fragile position for the remainder of the game until you can find a way to get it to safety.
And the crowd is going crazy because both these players, you know, they've seen so many of their videos online. Here, they get to see them playing in front of each other. F4, bird's opening played by him. Both of them very, very serious. And the position has now transformed into some sort of a stone wall structure. Robert, have you heard of this term, stone wall?
You know, it's funny because I was not expecting this from Levy. And maybe it's because USA's won the match that he feels like he can get away with anything. But I do think that Levy cares. And I really think he wants to show Sagar who's the boss in the YouTube world.
No, I think absolutely both of these players care deeply about getting the victory for their team, especially in a brand new event, brand new structure, brand new format. Now, I do know that these players have a decent amount of history, too, when it comes to games, primarily online. But like I said, I had the privilege of watching some of Levy's content leading up to this event, and he actually went through each of their matchups. It's good to see him be so critical of the mistakes that he made in those matches. But my curiosity is always, you know, how much are these guys, how much do you as chess players typically remember and bring into repeat matchups against opponents in terms of styles, tendencies, maybe again weaknesses that I can attack. Like, how do you build that in your brain when maybe you've played 4 times, but it's been over the course of 6 years?
Yeah, sometimes you actually have to throw the history out the window, because even if you've won all 4 games, you're a new player. And I think players change with the seasons. It's not like, some players, I have to say, do play the same opening over and over again because they've studied it so in depth. Others, they're moving targets. Today, you're going to get E4 on the first move. Tomorrow, D4. And guess what happens next? Nobody knows, including, as Levy said, himself. So Harshit, I mean, you want to be a moving target at this high level.
Absolutely, and he goes for this move pawn to f4, completely unpredicted. And now, 10 moves later in the game, he seems to have a good position from the opening, which just goes to tell you that sometimes, if you know where the pieces belong, no matter what first move you make, you can still get good position.
Yeah, and by the same token, opponent makes an improper or, maybe not the best opening move. You have to know how to punish it, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, I can tell you this, I wouldn't know how to punish f4.
No, I mean, it's not something that's that bad. It's just usually not advised because it gets, especially beginners, in trouble on the dark squares. But in this particular game, we have that stone wall structure that Harshit was mentioning. It means that central breaks are hard to come by for Sagar, and he just played a move. It looks like a capture. He exchanged knights. I mean, Levy is definitely going to capture towards the center, and after this, we're going to see some pressure on the queen side. I mean, Levy does have the initiative right now. He's gotten away with the opening.
Fans in the crowd getting a handful of that popcorn, enjoying the show. You'll love to see the smiles on the faces here. And again, everybody continues to get loud, supporting both of their countries and their players.
And look at these fans chanting, "Let's go, India, let's go." Sagar Shah, will he bring India the first point?
And queen comes out to defend against the threat that his opposing queen was looking for. So do we take the trade? That now becomes the question.
You know, it's funny, because normally when I commentate, I'm not biased at all. Here, I've been rooting for Team USA from the start.
True.
And right now, I'm rooting for a draw. And I typically don't say that in chess, but you know what? I want some quicker time controls. I want the mayhem, because the game, yes, is a draw. That means they start over, 5 minutes per side. Can't repeat this bird's opening, and we're going to have fun with it.
And that's a good point. I would like to see these guys play 3 games. Let's go to 5. Let's go to 1.
I mean, if I was Sagar or Levy right now, I would love to press that claim button and be like, my opponent is playing too bad.
They would be the 2 guys to think of something like that. So, only a few minutes off the clock for both players. Plenty of chess to be played. Maybe we will get a bit of a showman moment like that.
And you ask this question, does White want to allow this trade of queens? If Black takes the queen on b3, it will allow the White pawn to capture towards the center. You always mention that the pawns should capture towards the center, and that's a very important point, because pawns in the center are much more valuable in the middle game than they are in the end game.
Okay, so now it's onus on Sagar to decide, do I want to go for that trade? Am I giving my opponent an excuse to centralize or move that pawn a little bit closer to the center of the board? And ultimately, is that something I want to do?
I think that Sagar at this stage, he's reacting for the most part, because Levy has made a move, a developing move with the bishop, putting pressure on this pawn on e7. The queen left the defense of that square. So I think for Sagar, the crowd is really, they're going crazy because Levy's hyping him up.
Levy's hyping him up, man. He's like, it's your time to think. I'm going to get the crowd loud. I'm going to make it difficult for you to think. And that's another piece of all of this. How do you play the crowd? How do you involve them into it?
Sagar Bhai is so serious, but let's go. Sagar Bhai, you have to win somehow.
I feel like he has to trade the queens off in Sagar's position. I'm talking about, because where else does my queen go? I'm stuck there for the eternity of the game if I don't choose to trade off.
That's right, because Black is not fully developed, right? This rook and knight, they're stuck at home. And I think that if White takes in d5, the issue is forced. Because after pawn takes d5, the queen is also threatening to capture again. So that would encourage Sagar to trade queens. But h3, that's a tepid move. I don't love that. It's a bit slow. White is still better. But I feel like, for Levy, that if he plays too many of these moves, he could lose the initiative.
The old waiting move.
He's making a waiting move, improving his position, but I feel like Sagar has to start playing quickly. The position is so solid that it's very hard. It's going to be very hard for him to find a weakness in White's campus. But if he can put pressure on the clock, that's where he can get his chances. I think the best strategy for Sagar is just blitz out his moves from now on.
Okay. So asking for that change of pace, change the character of the game, if you will.
Exactly.
I think the character of the crowd has changed. They're rooting just nonstop now. Lots of Levy fans here. I've heard a sprinkling of Sagar Shah fans here, but he's a beloved figure in the chess world, and that's not an angle you see very often with him because he's not that often found at the board.
No, definitely. And he's somewhat of a soft-spoken guy.
I mean, both these players, look at him. Levy showing a heart to the crowd there. It's so hard to not like these players. They're so lovable. They're doing so much for the chess game, and I'm so happy that we are able to see both of them play in front of each other, in front of such a big crowd.
Is that not the coolest thing ever? We got signs in the audiences as well. I mean, I would have thought maybe second, third event, people would, now get the idea. I can bring in noisemakers. We got an event one. Let's go.
These are chess players. They think ahead.
That's
right?
true. You're right. That's on me.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. That was a softball
Yeah,
there.
they're thinking 25 moves ahead right now. Chess fans are amazing fans. And I do love the way that this crowd here in particular has really accepted that role. I think there's a question when it comes to the ingrained etiquette of chess and the long history of chess. Would it have taken more time, for people to kind of, it's okay that we get loud. And I feel like this crowd here has proven, right out the gate, we're going for it.
And they're like, we can be really loud. And I love that the whole Indian team is still sitting there. They're still trying to root for their teammates. Even though the match has been won by Team USA, the Indian team still showing great camaraderie.
And that's what you need. Keep your spirits up. Yes, you can't necessarily get the victory. The great news is this is an exhibition show match, right? There are no rating points on the line. So at the end of the day, the goal here is to put on a show and have a good time.
Yeah, and I mean, every single match is intrigue just because the overall score is in USA's favor. And wow, this move just played by Sagar. He's like, get those queens off the board.
Take my damn queen.
Stop running away. And the question, I think, now is, will Levy finally acquiesce, or is he going to keep running?
How often do you see 4 pieces stacked like that on the A file, of all things?
I'm actually thinking whether Levy will go for a repetition. He'll take the queen back. Sagar will attack the queen again, and maybe a draw.
They might want to play some more chess, I kind of feel like these guys would be willing to play some more chess.
I think Levy knows what the people want.
Yeah.
He knows that they want to see these two stretch to the limit, playing quickly from the start, because this has been a methodical game. And you asked about the A-file. Has it been this clock before? The famous Kasparov-Karpov game.
Okay.
With the whole A-file was with pieces on it. So it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, great players, clearly.
Yeah, and you'll probably see it happen more in formats like this, again, where in most cases, you're not going to find your way to a draw unless, of course, these guys with the threefold repetition decide that they want to go.
He goes back with the queen, and he's a smile on his face. Queen B6. Queen B6.
Well,
He's asking the crowd whether he should go for the draw or no.
He's going to have a conversation with them. All right. I don't know what he's learned from that back and forth, but
I think he's learned that Sagar's ready. He's every bit up to the task. He says, you're not the only content creator here. You're not the only international master at this board. I can play your game. I'm not afraid.
Full authority. Let's go for the draw. Bring it back.
Will they claim? Will he claim?
And
press the button.
Press the button.
Press the damn button, Sagar bhai.
And he's just pretending right now.
Yeah.
He knows he's going to take his draw.
Milk it. Milk it. Milk it a bit. Milk it a bit.
And he can go down to 1 second on the clock because it's the third time the position has happened. For everyone who's not so familiar with all the rules of chess, that the same position occurs 3 times as it just has. The game concludes with a draw. Let's see the claim take place now.
There it is. Claim on the screens. So with that, Levy has made the claim, calling the threefold repetition. We go to our referee, Eris.
Can you check?
If you want, or you're going to go for it anyway?
No, I just want to know if it's a draw or when I make the move, it's a draw.
Okay. I think it's when he makes the move, but... Leonard, can you check that for me? The play is under review.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Leonard, do you have a draw? Okay. I got it. Thank you. We have a draw. Net game, 5 minutes.
Draw.
And there you have it.
The claim has been made. The referee has laid his decree. It is officially a draw.
I wonder if some of the fans are not aware that they're about to reset the pieces and go again, because I hear some booing, which is a bit surprising.
You know, maybe some people just wanted Levy to throw the hammer down or something like that. You know, this is the idea of sport. Some people aren't going to like the play that you make, but the reality is 5 minutes now, and our first opportunity for competitors to go back to the huddle and have a discussion. What do I do now? And a reminder, you can't play the same first move. Now it might be a benefit that Levy started with F4 of all things, because great, I don't have to play that again.
I don't have to play that again. Actually, Levy managed to get a great position from the opening. So I think Sagar should be happy that he escaped with a drop. Now, with 5 minutes on the clock, both players are really need to speed up. And I think it's all going to come down to who's going to be the faster player.
Yeah, talk to me about that switch of gears. That's a difficult thing to do, to from the outset, reorient yourself to having half the amount of time.
It's difficult, and it happens all the time. I mean, Fabiano Caruana just won the Grand Chess Tour, and he was going from rapid to blitz. And for Levy and Sagar right now, they need to move more quickly in the opening. They were very methodical in this game. They were both fine. They were kind of, lulling the crowd and us to be certain, that they would be okay with the draw. But I don't think they want to play bullet chess. I think that's a little bit too extreme for them both.
Okay, so just the one. Now somebody's got to find a victory. If you are on the side of Team India, that's a difficult huddle to necessarily hold, because you don't know what the first move will be. So if I were to put you in that huddle and you had a moment with Sagar to lend him some advice, what would you be calling out? Is there something you notice in Levy's play? Is there just a different way that he should approach it from his own perspective?
I think I would definitely not give him chess advice. I think I would give him psychological advice. I think I would just tell him that you got it, believe in yourself. You just have to play quickly. You're doing great, and just go out there and do what you do best.
Okay, now on the flip side, Levy, he gets the white pieces. I'm circling up with the likes of, Hikaru, of Fabiano Caruana. Try and insert yourself into that huddle right now. What's the kind of coaching that he's receiving about how he can put the hammer down and keep that clean sweep rolling here for
Stop
Team
fooling
USA?
around.
Stop
play
fooling
normal
around.
chess and play it quickly.
Okay, so by all accounts, I think for both of you, it's less about the technicalities of the chess. It's more about the mindset of the players coming in. Eris, our referee, has given the okay for the game to start. Levy back on the white side of the board, as he is the home player in this matchup. And away we go into a 5-5 time control.
E4, E5, we're actually getting very principled chess from both the players.
Yeah, now that I said that they should play normal chess, I wish they went for something a little bit more random. But we do have what's called the Scotch game played pawn to d4. And after the swap of pieces, we can see that there are some threats, right? That knight can be captured. Both knights are staring at each other. But for the time being, everything is well defended.
Sagar is taking his time on the third move, which shows that he has not predicted this. He was not anticipating it. And Levy's like, yep, I made a good choice in the opening. Bishop to b4 check.
Good choice from Sagar. It's not the most common line. It's becoming increasingly popular. You see him laughing. He's like, you don't know this, buddy.
Well, and really there's three ways to respond to this, right? The knight can come out and block, the pawn can move forward, or the bishop can come out and block as well, right? Offering the trade.
Yeah, and even the bishop here is available. It looks like a rough move because the knight would have been hanging, but it actually tactically was sound. It's a good call dash. And that bishop, it says, all right, you attack me, I'll move back. I think that Levy should continue with his normal development, but I feel like Sagar actually knows more than he initially let off.
I mean, if you think about it, he allowed this move pawn to c3 for free for white, but now the point is that the white knight on b1 does no longer have the square on c3 to jump to.
That's a good point. It's going to be more difficult to develop that knight or take more time to get it to a square that feels impactful and useful. But that is 3 bishop moves in a row there for Sagar Shah. Typically, again, at my level of play, when I'm looking at getting better, it's an often repeated thing. Early in the game, development is more important, and what hinders that is having to move the same piece multiple times. I've effectively given you 3 moves to develop, and even still, only 2 of my minor pieces are out on the board.
When you have millions of subscribers on YouTube, you can get away with breaking
Do whatever
principles.
you want.
That's actually what they say. It's not, learn enough and then you can get rid of them. It's just get all those YouTube subscribers. But in all seriousness, what Harshit said was a really good point. He provoked this move c2 to c3 to take away that knight's access, so white cannot as easily develop. Black is going to try to develop on the king side of the castle, like knight f6, immediately putting pressure on the center. And I think Sagar really is playing nicely, and I truly believe that he tricked Levy a little bit.
Ooh.
He acted like he didn't know what to do in the scotch, but he seems quite booked up.
He seems quite booked up, and look at the bar, look at the clock. Both favoring Black right now. Sagar has taken the initiative on the board, a minute lead on the clock. I have a feeling that Sagar is going to win this game.
Oh, wow, calling it already, because from where I stand, again, feels equal. There's so many pieces on the board. It doesn't actually, in the end, feel like anyone's advantage. So what do you like so much about it? Is it just your perception that he has more knowledge of the position, so you have confidence?
I
or
just
you
like
actually
Sagar.
like the position?
I just like Sagar.
Okay. That's a good enough reason for me, if I'm being honest. I like him, too. I like them both.
But that's the problem, is everybody likes him. So, like, that means that every game he plays, he should be doing well.
Yeah.
So I second what Harshit is saying, because I know that in all seriousness, he's looking at this position like, that's a tall pawn. That bishop on f3, it's defending, it's not aggressive. Bishops love open space and open diagonals. And for Sagar, he can go right after that bishop. But we keep talking about the bishop pair, the two bishops advantage. He can get that right now.
And would you be considering this move pawn to d5 as Black just breaking in the center, trying to open up that bishop on c8? Do you think, Robert, Sagar is considering this move right now, pawn to d5?
He'd be a braver man than I, and I think that Harshit, you're suggesting some great moves. d5, it looks risky because you will allow white to take this knight on c6, but no, he says, not in this game. Double pawns, I actually find them quite bad in blitz chess. And pawn structure is often overrated, but in blitz chess in particular, you start worrying with the long-term issues. Pass pawns, not easy to obtain when you have double pawns. They also, pawn's best friend is another pawn. You want to protect with pawns, not have them stacked in front of each other.
That's interesting. That almost goes counter to what I maybe would have thought. I would have thought, to a degree, in the faster time controls, you could take, you know, more risks or have maybe quote-unquote worse positions because everybody's moving with imperfect knowledge and not enough time to calculate. But in this case, you're saying, no, that's absolutely okay.
I would say dynamic risks are often great in blitz chess, but static weaknesses, that's where the struggle occurs.
Gotcha. Okay, well, so can we create those static weaknesses? That becomes the question here for Sagar Shah. Still trying to get a point on the board for Team India as we're in our second bout between him and Levy Rozman. 3 minutes on the clock here for Sagar. Blitzes out a move.
d5, the pawn break in the center that we were talking about, he goes for it. And he also always has the ability to take that, chop that bishop on f3 when he wants, getting that strategic advantage of bishop pair.
Is that starting to feel like the face of regret there on Levy? Time is starting to slip away. Almost half of a bank to deal with of his opponent. And you can kind of see it. I don't know if I'm in a comfortable position anymore.
Yeah, it's all funny when you're riling the audience up, but the jokes are gone. Sagar is like, I'm going to take you down. And look at this. First the D pawn, now the C pawn, attacking a knight in the center. And white center is on the verge of collapsing if he's not careful.
It's all about who gets the last laugh. Sagar very serious right now. Look at the focus. Look at that intensity with which he's calculating in this position.
The time.
The time is going to become an issue here for Levy now. Again, just a quick reminder for everybody. Once they dip below 1 minute, you will get 1 second increment per move that you make, up until the point where you go back over a minute. But that is going to give Levy at least something to fall back on in terms of not losing too much on time. Still
It's
an
a new
opportunity
feature.
to be flagged, though.
That's not what you see in everyday tournaments. The ability to give increment only once someone is below a certain time quantity. That's an awesome addition to this event.
And that's thanks to Tag Heuer, one of our incredible partners who had to develop that new clock and time piece in order to effectively deliver us a tournament like this.
Absolutely. Look at the position now. The two knights on d2 and c2. It's been a long time since I've seen two knights next to each other on d2 and c2.
Not what you advise for your students. And look at this. He's saying, yeah, you have these really passive knights. I'm going to press forward. And that bishop that made so many turns, it's about to stare towards the white king. And look at the smile, that wry smile on Sagar's face.
Oh, shoes on the other foot there. Levy entertained the idea of a draw when maybe he could have reached for more in game one, and that decision might come back to bite him on the tail of trying to be the showman that he always is.
Coulda, woulda, definitely shoulda, because Levy right now is in huge trouble on the clock. He has the worst position over the board. I really like his last move, though, because Harshit was correct to criticize those knights that were just sitting next to each other. That knight would like to pile pressure on a pin piece, everybody. That knight on f6 cannot move without black losing the queen behind it.
Yeah, I mean, he has found a great resource to try and reroute this knight to d5, as you mentioned there, Robert. What does black do now? I like this move, bishop to e6. I want to stop that knight on b4 to come into d5 and put pressure on my knight on f6. Bishop to e6 is my prediction.
And he'll find it.
Yeah.
Levy, though, still says, I'm happy to centralize my knight, but this does give, rather, the opportunity for a trade of minor pieces in the center of the board. It would be bishop for knight.
By the way, the heart rate, you can see 127 for Sagar, and they have a green heart, which means that they're not very stressed. But look at Levy, his heart is red, which means he's stressed right now.
Yeah, so maybe lower heartbeats per minute, but ultimately feeling the pressure at the moment just a little bit more. There it goes. We're going to have the knight fall away. Would expect capture back, logically. Why are we thinking?
It's a good question, whether to take the knight on f6 first or take the bishop right away. He takes the bishop, and now for Sagar, you know, he's got a number of options. This pin is really annoying. I would try to break the pin either by pushing my pawn to attack the bishop or bring my queen up. Either way, this pawn on d5, it's worse than its counterpart on d4.
Guys, it's bullet chess now. Let's go.
That's right. Just dipping under a minute himself here, Sagar. So each will get a second back per move that they make. But the red is on the clock, and that's when you might see the heart rates change. And things are going to start to pick up pace.
And there was a bit of emphasis with that capture. Sagar took the bishop, and he kind of screwed that knight in there. And here goes the d5 pawn. So right now, black is up a pawn. But look at the shattered king side, the weak squares. Right in front of double pawns is a square that white can take.
At one point, there was a minute-and-a-half advantage all the way over in Sagar's camp. Now it's only down to about 15 seconds between them. So things are getting a little bit tighter. And ultimately, Levy is still fighting.
He's fighting, but he has 20 seconds on his clock right now. 20 seconds on his clock. He goes queen to b5. He's trying to remaneuver the queen to the king side, to the h5 square right now. And look at both of them. They're nervous. I can sense it.
Yeah, their entire body language has changed. They're no longer making any references to the crowd.
But we could see a repetition again, and the crowd wants it, I think. If the queen goes back and forth, we may get to a shootout.
Oh, no.
No.
Okay. Sagar refuses. He says, no, I have a win here. I can find it. I can find it. That's his hope.
20 seconds each. Queen b5. Pawn to d3. No, he goes queen to c6.
I think there's nerves here. And look at the queen. It swings over. If the knight can join the party, the black king's in danger. There is one check and one check away, but the black rook now is an open file to attack with.
Yeah, that's a grimace. Levy doesn't love his position right now, but he's still going to fight. Down below 10 seconds is he. Only 7 to work with. Back over to Sagar here. How can he put the finishing touches on this game?
And you see Sagar tap the table a little bit. He's really nervous. Capture. What's going on? The pieces are flying.
Okay, a bit of chaos on the board.
Wait, f6 was hanging. The pawn was hanging, but no time.
It was missed. No time to find it.
And it's hanging again.
Pieces are flying off the board.
Too much pressure.
But both sides are in a tough spot because both kings are in danger.
And we're in flagging territory. We've already seen one game decided by a flag. Wait.
What?
Give him 15 seconds extra.
The ref has stepped in. 15 seconds awarded to Levy, likely because of that mix-up of pieces. It ate into Levy's time. That is a part of the rule set here. The referee has the ability to give 15 seconds to a player if their time was chewed into due to the play of another person. So Sagar here now with only 1 second to go. He's got to make a move, and he does.
All the pieces drop, and Levy's completely winning.
And Levy's winning.
Oh, my goodness.
It's over.
In the end, the game comes through. Wow.
What a game.
Time in the end will be the decider. Levy, Rozman. They brought us to a second game. It was 5-5. What a show by the two of them. But USA moves up to 4-0.
Man, as bad as I feel for Team India right now, I have to give credit to both the players. What an exciting match. What a show that both these players put on. I think we will soon go to Jules, who will be asking a question to Levy right now on stage.
Yeah, the guys are being kind and resetting the board for the 5th and final match between two players who need no introduction. And as soon as we can, we'll get to that stage. We'll hear from Jules and Levy Rozman himself on what it means to take a victory here. As
I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest over-the-board matches that these guys have played. Maybe, again, not for rating and for their own, but for the fact that they're doing it in front of the crowd at an event like this and alongside their teammates. That's massive. All right, they're taking positions. Let's head to stage. Let's hear from Levy.
Here. Congratulations on winning.
Still not working.
Yeah, mic's not on. All right, I'm gonna shout really loudly. Okay, now it's working, sorry. Won't shout so loudly. All right, a huge congratulations to Levy. Let's give a round of applause. So Levy, that first game, the way you were playing to the crowd, you're basically the Justin Bieber of chess. And I have to ask, with that second game, you seemed a lot more serious. It really went down to the wire. The crowd was engaged. How did it feel at the very end with how it ended? I want to hear your thoughts.
I don't know if you, are you gonna, okay. Hi. Yeah, that was, thank you. First of all, a shout out to Sagar for being a great opponent and a great ambassador, and it's an honor to play him in front of all of you. When I saw the match order, I was really worried we would be the championship game, and I was like really stressed, and I had no idea what to expect. And I mean, it was a good start for us, so I knew more than anything, like we needed to keep the energy high, you know, keep the hype going, and I figured what better way to do that than, you know, play some more games. So we repeated in the first game, and then, yeah, the second game was exactly what we want to see, which is chaos, nonsense, and I would have loved to play him also in Bullet, but that's how it went.
Absolutely. Well, let's give it up for Levy. An amazing match, giving us all the entertainment. Thank you so much and congratulations. Thank you. Now, we have our last game. It's going to be incredibly exciting. While we wait for that, we're going to go to the desk.
Thank you, Jules. Great to hear from Levy, who did win that game against Sagar, but that was quite a back and forth battle. In the first game that ended in a draw, Levy was better before they put a bit of showmanship for everybody. And that second game, it seemed like Sagar had the upper hand for a while.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think there was a repetition that he could make, but Sagar's like, no, I want to win this game right here, right now. But then when it went down to the time scramble, the experience that Levy has in these shorter time formats came into use. He was clutch there, having some last-minute tricks. Sagar made a big blunder. Levy, very nice win.
Let's do our best impression of Levy and Sagar and dive into the game. Let's analyze what went wrong for Sagar and what went right for Levy, because for a while in this position, it felt like Black should be on the better side. This pawn on d5 is weaker than Black's pawn on d4, but this is the first moment you really didn't like from Sagar.
Absolutely. I think that here, he should have just played this move pawn to h6. And after bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, the bishop on b6 is going to be a monster whenever the pawn on d4 moves. And I think that this would have given Sagar a risk-free advantage. In the game, he won a pawn, the pawn on d5, but as you were mentioning, just a few minutes before he did this pawn structure, spoiling the pawn structure, especially in this time control, can be a big disadvantage to your position.
Objectively still good for Black, but practically becomes very difficult because as the game continued, there were some difficult choices, and Black Sagar was playing very well. Levy was trying to avoid the queen trade. Things still going back and forth. And then at this point in time, Black is actually doing very well. You can switch from defending, into attacking. And then after queen goes, the rook is coming in. Everything was going right. And even this pawn pushing seemed good, but this was a big miss from Levy.
It was mate in 2. It's actually mate in 2. Queen takes f6, rook g7, rook e8 is checkmate on the board. But of course, when you have 5 seconds on your clock, you're not really focusing on what your opponent is doing. You just want to make sure you don't lose on time. Levy just wanted to keep things under control. That's what he did. And finally, after, I think there was this queen g5 check and the bishop on a5.
Yeah, it still seemed like Black was doing pretty well with the passed pawn, but there it was. That the queen left the d5 square, allowing the white queen to check, and that just wasn't a check. Everything fell after that. First the bishop on a5, then the queen moved in, then the rook on d8 with check, and after that, I mean, the flag fell, but the game was over because I don't think Levy was going to miss this checkmate in 2.
Yeah, just checkmate into rook d8, rook e8. The whole facade of the black pieces fell down after he lost that bishop on a5. Levy wins. USA is leading with a score of 4-0. We have one final game, Robert. Will India manage to get any point on the leaderboard? Because it's 4-0 right now, and this is the biggest match. What do you think?
It's a clean sweep right now. Will it finish that way? That's up to Hikaru Nakamura, who takes on world champion Gukesh Damaraju. We'll throw it to the stage, and Dash, who's with both these players. The match may be over, but you know these players are going to do battle. Let's throw it to Dash right now.
Arlington, we've got one more matchup. And it's a big one. It's a big one. Now our final match of the evening is two competitors who, in all honesty, they need no introduction. But an introduction they will get. Captains of both of their respective teams. For Team India, it's World Champion Gukesh Damaraju! And leading Team USA, it's World number 2, Hikaru Nakamura! Now Gukesh, obviously when it comes to the scoreline, you're not going to be able to get enough done to take the full victory over there for Team India. But I know the two of you are some of the most fierce competitors, have an undying desire to win matches. So talk to me about this one. Two of the best in the world, you and Hikaru, stepping into an arena unlike anything chess has ever seen.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I mean, it's always nice to play Hikaru in a faster time control game, and especially with the crowd cheering, it'll be full of excitement.
Are you going to get a point on the board for Team India here?
I'll try my best.
Try his best. But you, Hikaru, you get a say in all of that. Your team has set you up brilliantly. The series is already in your hands, but like we said, it's more about the magic of the moment and what we're trying to do here in the chess world. So give me your thoughts ahead of this matchup, and give me your thoughts on what we've seen already here on the stage today.
Yeah, so it's been a really good match. I think the Tani game against Ethan was probably the highlight so far. It went our way, but the score isn't reflective of the overall result. But really, it's just great to see the fans here. They've made amazing contributions. They've been really loud, and I think all of us have enjoyed it a lot. So it's been great. Make some more noise when I play Gukesh, and let's finish this off with a sweep.
There it is, calling the clean sweep. Looking to say something about that. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Take your positions, and best of luck.
Hikaru, are you ready? Gukesh, are you ready? Start White's clock.
The game that we have all been waiting for has finally started. E4 by Hikaru and Karokan played by Gukesh. Robert, what an exciting match that we have to conclude this amazing event.
And you saw a smile from Hikaru because the Karokan is a weapon that Gukesh often deploys. But in this match, maybe he was expecting something different. But I mentioned this earlier. Hikaru Nakamura, likely in the candidates. The winner of that tournament plays the World Championship match against none other than Gukesh Damaraju. So this could be a potential statement game for Hikaru as these two play each other more and more.
I mean, without a doubt. You did hear, though, from Gukesh on stage there. He's excited to play Hikaru in the faster time controls. Again, I think maybe something that's over-talked about to a degree when it comes to Gukesh is trepidation around his ability in the shorter time controls as compared to classical. I think to a degree sometimes it's overblown when people play down his ability in the faster time controls. But what do you think, Arjun?
I mean, he's the world champion.
Exactly.
I mean, he's the world champion. And, you know, because he's always in the limelight, one mistake that he makes always is going to be in the center of attention. But I think that this is a great stage for him to kind of, you know, not only just get experience, but also test himself against the best in the world. I mean, Hikaru Nakamura is the best fast time control players in the world. I think this is a great stage for Gukesh.
How about that? Getting a glimpse of some of the young fans in the crowd. We were talking about earlier how we hope events like this will prove to inspire young future chess grandmasters, like maybe this young man in the audience right there.
Well, the crowd is roaring after that statement. I think there's a lot of future grandmasters by the sound of it. But in this game, we've seen a series of trades. The dark square bishops are gone, and Hikaru, oh, look at that. There they go, the lip pout. I don't know what he's thinking here, but he thinks that something went wrong for Gukesh.
I have a feeling that after knight to g6, this move knight to g5 should be very strong, threatening queen to h5 and potential attack on the black king. And I think that's why Hikaru was a bit surprised by black's last move, knight to g6.
Okay, so if that's my expectation, then already I'm thinking about Gukesh's, ability to respond to that. Let's say that the knight does jump forward. How do I start to defend against the checkmating threats that come in?
There are going to be so many of them, and I think that's why Hikaru is sitting and thinking right now. It's a great moment because he could play knight g5 right away, or he could saddle black with these double pawns and later bring his knight forward. He can actually play this positionally if he wants, and Hikaru has become an increasingly positional player in classical chess, but not here. He loves the dynamism with the quicker time controls.
A move that would have never been on my radar in a million years.
Exactly. We were also focused on the king side, on the right side of the board, but pawn to c4, trying to get some pressure in the center of the board. He's trying to play on both sides of the board. I mean, Hikaru has a lot of experience in these shorter time formats, so I think we're definitely learning something new.
Learning something new. We're learning that fans love to get loud at chess events, I'll tell you that much.
They certainly do. They've been yelling. They've been having a grand old time. And the players, they're enjoying every moment of it. At least I should say Team USA is, because they're up 4-0. And you know Hikaru wants to end this match 5-0. He does not want to give India a single point.
No, Hikaru is not the kind of guy who would be happy getting the series win while being the only person on his team to drop a game.
I do think that would be really nice for the Indian team to win this match because, as Hikaru said, the score does not reflect how close this match has been. And I do think that having just 1 point would be amazing. To win the last game would definitely give Indian team motivation to do well for their revenge that might potentially happen very soon.
Absolutely, agreed. We should also recognize just the fact that, the Team USA has had the advantage of being on the white side of every single game. They are the home team to the away, and so in the next version of this event, where both of these teams are playing again, and Team India is the home team, they will also get the white side. So, a small advantage as to be considered at the beginning of every game. And maybe that's, one thing to be thinking about when it comes to referencing, the closeness of the actual games.
Exactly. I mean, even if you talk about the position right now, it's so close. I mean, Robert, what do you think? The queen goes to b8, the black bishop is on d7, but it does not. I mean, d5. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Whoa. Is Hikaru doing a series of trades to get us to an even position so we can get down to 5-minute chess? Is he doing this for the fans?
He very well might be.
Bishop e6, a move which looks very tempting, would be instantly met by a sacrifice. Rook takes e6. Cannot do that. Cannot allow that.
The black king would lack defenders there, and that would be devastating for Gukesh. So he's probably going to defend that bishop. I mean, he could also bring his bishop out to attack this knight and try to initiate some trades. Otherwise, he can protect it and also open up some attacks against the white queen.
It would be interesting, Hikaru kind of winding this one to a draw. I mean, he should only feel more and more confident as the time controls get quicker. He is one of the best speed chess players in the world.
I mean, there is so much noise, but these two players, they're able to, just completely focus, just zone in right now. It's not easy. It's not easy to not affect so much noise and because we've seen some of the younger players, they maybe perhaps were not able to handle so much pressure, but I can clearly see that Gukesh and Hikaru are able to zone out very well.
And I love this move from Gukesh. He brings his bishop out first, and why that's so critical is if Hikaru had a free turn, he would have brought his own queen over and tried to deliver a checkmate with knight and queen. So this move, bishop to g4, attacks that knight right away and says, I'm happy to trade your potentially aggressive piece. I need to get that off the board because the black king does not have many defenders. So the fewer the attackers, the better for Gukesh.
Bishop to g4. Knight to d6, a move which looks tempting, would be a mistake, but he goes knight to e5, trading more pieces. Are we going to a shorter time format? Are we going into overtime?
Looking for the trade of knights here at the center of the board. If it comes through, Hikaru has, I guess, the option of recapturing with the knight or the queen.
It's e5. I think he'll take back on e5 with the knight, hitting the bishop on g4.
Then the queen. Oh, actually, yeah, that's... Where does the bishop retreat to then?
Probably then has to go back to e6, and I think white has more fun in these positions, because when we talk about bishop versus knight dynamics, bishops are inherently limited to 32 squares, their own color. The knight can be such a pesky piece, hopping from light to dark square. And whoa, queen takes e5, allowing his kingside pawn structure to be shattered. But this is Hikaru Nakamura, not so subtly saying, yeah, this game is heading towards equality.
Yeah. Bam, bam. A flurry of pieces off the board. Now it's just 2 rooks apiece and 5 pawns.
I have a feeling that this is not going to be the last game that we see today. I think this game is going to head towards a draw. We might get overtime.
Give us that 5-5. Bring us to that bullet even, if you will. Bit of a smirk on Hikaru's face. He's saying, yep, we'll continue to liquidate. Let's go ahead and get ourselves to a draw-ish position. Let's go to 5 minutes. Let's give some more fireworks to the fans.
We're about to get. The rooks cannot be traded here. White would have a worse pawn structure in the endgame. So back and forth we go. Only a legal move. It's got to be a claim.
It's got to be played, and then we're looking for the claim, and there it is. We'll head to stage where our head referee, Eris, will be standing by.
Do you agree? We have a draw.
And
5
the
minutes
draw
next.
claim. The draw claim is accepted. 5-minute game to come. And now again, a reminder, we go back to our huddles. Both players have the opportunity to discuss with their teams. Where do we go from here? You cannot play the same opening move in the next game for Hikaru.
Hikaru started with the king's pawn. He's no longer eligible to do that, but we know how versatile a player like Hikaru Nakamura is. So I think he will play d4, the queen's pawn, and then if that gives a draw, he'll switch to something else.
I'm just so happy that we're getting to see more chess. I mean, let's get one more game. I'm hoping for this game to be a draw so that we get bullet chess. This is great. I mean, I'm so happy that the fans get to see more chess being played between the current world champion and current world number 2, Hikaru Nakamura.
I want to see pieces flying. I want to see pieces flying every which way. Get those claim buttons in. We've yet to see an illegal move yet. Again, still going to remind people that the rules within this tournament can kind of lay the groundwork for some crazy stuff to be happening that we haven't necessarily seen just yet, but it'll always be a possibility.
Well, there may have been an invisible legal move that even we didn't see, because they have to claim it.
True. That's actually a really good point. Again, yeah, a fact of the matter is an illegal move is made, and it's up to one player, the opposing player, to actually claim and call that illegal move out.
Exactly, and it's so cool, this format where we have to press this claim button in order for any objections. Like, you have to press the claim button, the referee comes in and solves the issue. I think this is a very unique side that we are seeing into chess.
It's super unique, and it's something that can only be done when you have partners as incredible as the likes of Tak Hoyer. We put it to them, hey, we have this grand idea, but the current kind of confines and technical limitations of the game of chess do not allow us to fulfill that dream. Can you make it happen? And they delivered.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see the increment only added when the players are under a minute. You see the clock tick red. They can't build it up to several minutes like you can in over-the-board chess, so in typical ways. So it's really cool to see the players. They'll be in time trouble, but it won't mean that they're necessarily going to flag, and that allows them to save games that they would otherwise lose in the clock.
Yeah, it's also a haptic feedback clock. So when each player hits their respective button, there's actually a magnet that holds it down, which in effect just prevents more mistakes, right? You don't want to slip and accidentally, whatever it is. It prevents that very case from happening. But there you have it, the world number 2 and the world champion sitting back down for their 5-minute game of chess. Hikaru back with the white pieces. Gukesh looking to get a point on the board for Team India.
Start white's clock.
Signal has been given, the handshake is extended, and there you can see the time ticks down.
No way.
What? The
For the
F4?
content.
The bird's opening is going to be played by every single American in the next 2 years.
Well, that's good for India in future versions of this event, because it's typically not seen at these high levels for a reason. But I will say that, everyone would have thought that it was Hikaru giving preparation advice to Levy. No, the other way around. Gotham tells Hikaru what to play on move 1.
Yeah, I'd put money on the fact that Levy was the one who convinced him to go for it.
And C5, I like that Gukesh is immediately undermining that pawn structure. He's putting pressure on that d4 pawn. And after d takes c5, I have a feeling that the black queen might jump into a5.
I mean, from my untrained eye, I love all the positions of white pieces generally, right? Again, I've got most of my minor pieces, barring that dark squared bishop, out on the board. I've got multiple pawns controlling central squares, so feels like a very stable position in which I've worked towards the principles of chess as I know it. And now, as Harjit mentioned, it's about Gukesh trying to find ways to undermine that principality that I've played
Right,
through.
because what White's whole setup was geared to stopping Black playing pawn to e5, and that's still not really available. But Black decided to strike with the other pawn. And this bishop now, instead of staring into a pawn, it stares through its own knight into enemy territory. And I like Gukesh's play. Quickly develops that bishop. He can later try to strike in the center, but this pawn on f4, that's the problem, Dash, is that you often want to push it backwards to cover key squares that are currently vulnerable.
And look at the Indian team. They're happy with Gukesh's position. They're happy with his time advantage. They're happy with the technical advantage that he has because the bishop on c1. The bishop on c1 is a bad piece right now. And we know that in chess, activity is very important. Black surely slightly happy with the position.
Hikaru definitely wondering why he listened to Levy.
Yeah, we need to get a shot of him darting back with glaring eyes towards Levy. What did you make me do?
I mean, just a worse position for White. Even this last one, King H1, right? You're throwing your king in the corner. You're don't have an attack. And B3 played. I mean, that is just a risky move because after knight takes knight, if the queen takes, there's a bishop staring through the diagonal. That's usually bad news for a queen. So after knight takes, maybe White take with the pawn. You give yourself an isolated queen pawn, an IQP. That's not good news at all.
Let's go, Kuki. Let's go.
There it is.
This is the best position that any of the Indian players have had from the opening.
Okay. So is that pawn our target? Is the game all about d4 right now?
Yeah, that's a huge weakness, and Black's pieces are already ready to stare at it. I know there are some others in the way, but that's what, the legends of the game from the past, Capablancas, the Nimzoviches, learn your chess history, everybody. Some great names there. You want to blockade the square in front of the isolated pawn so the pawn can't push very easily. And here, tactically, it cannot push because after knight takes, there are problems down the diagonal here. So that's why Hikaru decides to push in the other way, and he's trying to go for an attack. But Harshit, I'm not really believing in it.
I don't really believe it. I want to put pressure on the d4 pawn. Now it looks very weak. Usually, the white bishop wants to go to b2, but now that the f pawn has moved, it kind of just feels like the dark squares are very weak in white's position right now. Gukesh has a time advantage, but he still needs to understand which pieces to exchange. We always talk about like what pieces are important and what pieces we want to trade. I think right now it would be nice to trade those knights off. Why not just take those knights off the board, play knight to e4, challenging that knight on c3.
Great move. I think it's a really smart play there that you're suggesting because Black doesn't want to fall victim to an attack that does look a bit worrisome, opening up the f-file, but there's that rook, the castled rook, sitting and protecting the king. So if the knights come off the board, if this knight is not here, the bishop can then trade, and the Black king will feel very safe where it stands.
But here we have the clocks rather equalizing in this moment. Again, Gukesh probably recognizing that he is in an advantaged position.
Dash, am I seeing these heart rates correctly?
I mean, I'm going to believe the tech here.
Hikaru's heart rate is very high.
And he's got the red heart, which tells us that his stress levels are high. It's not just about the heart rate itself. It's also about the stress and anxiety that you're feeling.
Goes for knight d5. He captures with the bishop. And I think I like this idea by Hikaru not giving up that knight on c3. It does feel like Black should be slightly better, though. He goes back bishop to 6, the pawn on d4 is hanging now.
These top players, they love that bishop pair, and as Harshit just said at the end, that pawn on d4 is hanging. You'd love to push it, but not so fast. There's a knight loose behind that pawn. So I actually don't really see an easy way to defend the pawn. The good news for Hikaru is that if this queen ever leaves its starting square, the e7 pawn drops in return. So it's kind of like a fancy trade, but I think that Hikaru needs to prepare for that series of events, maybe by defending his knight first, which will be loose if d4 drops.
The bishop on g7 is not a bishop, it's a rocket. I mean, look at the way it's eyeing on that pawn on d4, that knight on c3, and also in the end, the rook on a1. All of them are under attack by that bishop on g7.
Can I evacuate the knight? Okay, well, Hikaru's going to make a decision. He's going to retreat the bishop to defend that pawn. I was thinking maybe a backwards knight move, effectively defending the pawn at the same time and moving that knight out of the long scope of the bishop in its eventuality. He goes a different way. I'm willing to say a better way without even looking at the engine.
You know, you say a better way, but I do think that Hikaru's been in trouble. But that last move by Gukesh, a teeny bit careless. A nice shot from Hikaru, giving up a pawn, sure. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, then that pawn can be captured. But now there are tactical possibilities. I actually think this was a great shot from Hikaru. The only real chance, a queen d7, a slip from Gukesh.
He's so alert. You give him one chance and he bounces on that opportunity.
Red border. Red border.
Yes, he takes. He takes. Best move, of course. Hikaru Nakamura is completely back in the game.
He is, but he still has the difficulty of this d5 pawn, and Gukesh has some easy moves to make, like rook a to d8 right now, put pressure on the pawn, but Hikaru's going to bring his own rook up to c5 to aggressively defend that weak point.
Gukesh trying to think if he wants to bring the rook on a8 in the game or the f rook in the game. He goes for rook a d8. Very logical. Rook to c5, protecting the pawn on d5 and hitting the queen on b5 seems like a good move for white right now. Everyone in the audience very keenly analyzing the position, very curious who's going to win the final match here.
Yeah, still many of our fans making their voices heard, but I also can feel that others are, there's a feeling of intensity that's starting to fall. A blanket of intensity over the audience as they're realizing the complications of this position and how it really is still any man's game.
Look at that move. Bishop tucked away where the king usually resides after your castle. But I think he's just trying to make sure that he has no LPDO, loose pieces drop off. So he's keeping his bishop on a safe and protected square. It also covers the back rank so there are no checks. Even if this queen were to leave, rook f1 would maybe be threatening, but not a check, so it wouldn't be a forcing sequence. I actually really like this move from Hikaru. It's a great pragmatic decision.
On the contrary, the pawn on d5 is loose, and I do think that the only player who can play for a win right now should be black.
Definitely agreed with that. I mean, Gukesh is better. Rook c2. There's a bit of hesitation there from Hikaru, but he wants to defend this weak point, and he has successfully done just that. I think that Gukesh is going for the attack and the defense simultaneously. He wants to blockade that isolated pawn, but Hikaru is going to play around it. Queen c6 becomes kind of a threat. You want to create a pass pawn. If the queens get exchanged, that's very worrisome for black.
Goes queen to c4. I like this idea of placing the bishop on d6 so that the pawn on d5 is a permanent weakness there.
Rerouting of the queen here, nicely centralized. Now the rook will come over as well. I mean, all of the pieces for black are involved in the game. There is that bishop now tucked away, but of course now the rooks come off, and we're working with a queen and a bishop apiece. We've got 5 pawns apiece as well.
And Gukesh is offering a queen trade. He believes that if the queens get traded, the pawn on d5 is going to be a weakness which the king might just come and take.
He believes it. Do you believe it?
I believe it, and that's why. But Hikaru Nakamura is like, no, no, no. I think it's a draw. I think it's a draw, and the computers agree with him.
Hikaru found the only move there. We saw the red box appear, and he's doing the right thing. But look at the clock, Dash. They are both around 30 seconds.
They're in lockstep with each other right now. Flagging is always an option. They do have 1 second increment at this point in the game when they're underneath 1 minute. And both of these guys are well practiced in time scrambles.
I think Hikaru knows that this is equal. Gukesh thinks that he has practical chances. If this game ends in a draw, we go to shootout, which is 1 minute each.
Let's just
that
shoot
would
out.
be fun. A huge mistake. The bar.
Whoa.
It goes down all the way in black's favor.
Whoa. Bishop d6 is coming. Gukesh is winning.
Yes, he is. The bishop for white is in no man's land. Bishop d6 becomes the idea, trying to trade it off, and then the black king could step over. This is an attack on this pawn. I think you just defend it, and I don't think that white can stop the king from going over.
Yeah, definitely something you guys will have to revisit in the analyst segment in terms of where that critical moment occurred and how it flipped in Gukesh's favor.
To d4.
Oh, but he made a mistake. Gukesh has returned the favor to some extent because now it's back objectively to equal territory.
This is the difficulty of the moment. Again, we've got the benefit of the engine. It feels easy to us, but they are working with 15 to 20 seconds apiece. They've got 1,000+ person audience making noise around them. This is a brand new environment for these players, even with how experienced they are in the professional chess world.
And Gukesh is shaking his head there because now after a4, the pawn on a5 is on a dark square, which means that the white bishop can attack it now. Bishop b6, attacking that pawn, as I was just saying.
Yeah, this was a decision you don't really enjoy from Gukesh's perspective. But both players, they are really low on the clock, and there could be a mistake here from either side. You have to be very careful not to drop a pawn or allow a trade that liquidates into a problematic endgame.
7 seconds for Hikaru. He has to make sure he doesn't lose on the clock.
Oh.
Whoa, we're going to get a race.
And more pawns come off the board. Still equal material at this point, but there are no pawns sharing a file with their counterpoints at this point. Hikaru's clock is very low. It's Gukesh who's moving with great speed and precision.
Oh, he takes the pawn. Oh, and all the pieces have been traded. Bare kings on the board. It's a draw.
They know, and it's a draw. There's not enough material to deliver a checkmate. The draw's been called. We're going to our first shootout.
Oh. What a finale that we have here, guys.
For real, for real.
From 10 minutes to 5-1.
The pieces will be reset. The players will have a moment to speak again with their teams. And now, once again, a reminder. E4 off the board. D4, right? Or no, F4. You're right. He went Levy's way.
Yes.
So perhaps D4 will be the opening move of the final board. We've at least eliminated a few of the possibilities. We go back to that conversation about what is happening in these huddles. It's a bullet game. There's 1 minute apiece. Is there much you can say when it comes to the chess itself versus that psychological element that we talked about earlier in the day?
In bullet, it's all about intuition and confidence. If you are confident and you play fast, you are generally going to be a small favorite, because I think in terms of the players, both players are very level, right? I mean, Gukesh being the classical world champion, but Hikaru being one of the best, like faster time control players. I think it's a very evenly based match right now. What do you think, Robert? Do you think because it's going to be bullet, Hikaru will be slightly more experienced, or do you think that the youth that Gukesh has will prevail in this match?
Hikaru is double Gukesh's age, so I think that's going to come in handy. He has so much experience playing late-night blitz and bullet chess. You know, in the shootout that we're about to have for Gukesh, I mean, it's going to be difficult. He is the huge underdog, but it's one single game. I think that's what he needs to rely on. That Hikaru's probably nervous. We saw his heart rate, the stress coming out, and it's just one single game. So Gukesh, he's got to save this best for last here.
I mean, he has so much determination, though. He's very young. Maybe he doesn't have as much experience as Hikaru, but he has so much determination, so much tenacity. He always wants to win, no matter what format he plays, whether it be freestyle, whether it be normal classical chess, whether it be shootout, any format, Gukesh is going to give his best to win.
He said it himself. I'm excited to play Hikaru in shorter time controls. He may well understand that he's not the favorite in that situation, but that also to me speaks to the level of competitor that he is and the type of ethic that he has that has led him to the World Championship. You have to stare down obstacles that have beaten you before. You have to overcome past failures to become the greatest in any specialization. And for him, okay, I might be world champion in classical time controls. I might not have the edge against Hikaru, but I'm excited to come up against that obstacle. I don't fear it.
You got to slay the beast to become the beast. And
Exactly
the world
right.
champion is typically the beast in chess. And Gukesh is that kind of beast. And I actually think we've been talking about statement wins. That if Gukesh beats Hikaru in Hikaru's own game with no time to start, 1 minute per side, I think that actually sends a message to Hikaru Nakamura that, hey, this world should not take me for granted. That I know I don't play as much speed chess as you, but I can handle the pressure and I can handle the spotlight. And I think that the world champion would love to make that statement against none other than arguably the best historic player in 1 minute chess in Hikaru Nakamura.
Statement could be made here on the Arlington stage that reverberates throughout the world. And Gukesh, again, trying tooth and nail to get a point on the board for Team India. Again, we kind of talk about how much that would mean just from ending the event on a high note and maybe then looking towards, okay, let's flip the script. And when we've got the white pieces and you're on our home soil, we're going to do to you what you did to us.
Whoever wins the last game wins it all.
Quick rule change. Should we huddle up? What does the referee have to say about that? No, it's not so much. Not so much. But again, pride is on the line. And at the end of the day, competitors at the highest level in any sport, they want to win. They don't care at this point about the series. They want to beat the guy that they're staring down across the board.
And I just turned around. Like, I can see them back there. They're actually discussing what to play because with 1 minute to start for the entire game, you get that 1 second bonus time per move. That's not a lot. So if you make an egregious mistake on move 8, the game could be over right there.
What would you want to see when it comes to the bullet and the idea of playing to intuition? Do you want to see a first move made that is like within my wheelhouse? So I'm Hikaru, play the most classically known opening move for myself and what I know the best, or throw the curveball, throw the thing. I know neither of us know what's going to happen after I do this. You know?
I think when the time control is the shortest, you should always play what you play in classical, because you have so much experience in it that you will be able to find the ideas more intuitively. And I think that the shorter the time format, it's usually a better idea to play what you know best.
That kind of difficult then. You're playing on the black side of the board, right? Because you, at the end of the day, you have to respond to what Hikaru brings out, and there are only so many decent responses to any first move that is made on a board.
And I think a difficulty that is typically said about Gukesh is that he's sitting on World Championship preparation. That sounds like a treasure trove. Dive in there, bring some out. But at what moment? Is it the moment when you're already lost the team match in a single game of 1 minute chess? Probably not. So he is going to have to rely on his knowledge, but also maybe keep some secrets for future games.
And look at Gukesh. He's practicing to play very quickly and press the clock. He's like, I just want to make sure that I don't take even 1 second to make the move and press the clock.
I like it. I like it. And again, it's a new environment. It's like playing on a new field.
Right.
Right? You gotta get that tactile feel for what's sitting in front of you. And here you have it, folks at home, those in the venue, our final match of the evening. It all comes down to this between the world champion and the world number 2. It's a bullet game, 1 minute apiece for personal
Gentlemen, are you ready?
Are you
Start White's
ready?
clock.
Here goes the clock.
We go.
Off we go. It's a B4 push to open things up here for Hikaru Nakamura, and we are off to the races.
And for Hikaru, he is playing on the queen side of the board. He's pushing his pawns forward, and you see a triangle from black. You have this triangle towards the center. It means you're very well defended, but you have a bad light square bishop, so harsh it. Some good news for Gukesh as he strikes forward, but he has some things to figure out as well.
Absolutely, and I want to break with this move pawn to e5, opening up my bishop on c8. That's what black is aiming for, so I think a move like rook to e8, queen to e7, preparing e5 will be on the cards of Gukesh.
And I think you're right, but he wanted to take first. He didn't want his bishop shut back on b8. He's now trying to chisel at White's impressive pawn structure, connect forward, David Howell's favorite game. But right now, Gukesh is trying to get any of his pieces developed. I mean, that knight just wrapped around.
This feels suffocating already at this point for Gukesh. Like, where do I put any of my pieces? I'm completely blockaded behind my own pawns.
And now Hikaru has managed to put his knight on e5. The knight on b4 had such a long route to come there, and I think it just gave White too much time. And again, knight to e8.
Brilliant. Brilliant move from Gukesh. That is a pass pawn. The best piece to blockade a pawn is a knight because it stares over the pawn into the position. For example, bishop on b5 can eventually be captured. The evaluation is turning in Gukesh's favor. Amazing play from him.
Wow, what understanding he has shown in this setup. Maneuvering his knight from f6 to c7, blockading that white pawn on c6 and queen to a8. The move that you highlighted, I love that idea, Robert.
Yeah, I'm drawing the arrows for everybody at home. The queen comes to a8, and many white pawns are vulnerable. That's why Hikaru
Let's go, Gukesh. Let's go.
Yeah, Gukesh has an opening here. Now it feels like Hikaru is just saying, I'm going to blow up the position.
Yeah,
I'm just going to blow it up.
He's trying his best, but look at the clock, by the way. It's Gukesh who has the lead. They both have green, which means they're not overly stressed, but look at Hikaru's heart rate.
I'll tell you this much, only one of them was out there practicing hitting the time controls, and right now it seems like it's working well in the favor of Gukesh.
It is, but I would say one thing to fear if you're Gukesh is the black king. It feels like it doesn't have that many defenders. White's king is safe and sound, and after a move like this, watch out, knight g5, queen h7, do not blunder that pawn.
He goes g6, he stops the threat of queen takes h7. Look at Divya, they're all so nervous.
Locked in watching this game play out.
Black is up a pawn here, but Hikaru is going to find some tricks, like always, and Gukesh has to be precise until the very end.
But you said one pawn, that's a second pawn that can be captured.
Gukesh
does in fact take the pawn. Both players have just above 10 seconds right now, and trades are happening, but look at Black coordinating those pieces.
And then Hikaru putting pressure on that f7 pawn. He just picked up one pawn, so he's down only one pawn now. Rook back to c4. Knight to e4, played by Hikaru.
The tides have turned. Look at the clock right now. Gukesh under 6 seconds. He is in big trouble. He's making moves quickly, but it's difficult. But if you take that knight, the bishop is unleashed, and that's really annoying for Gukesh to do. He does take it. That's a really risky decision.
I would be very scared to do that because, as we said, if the white queen ever gets on e5, it's going to be very scary.
But how do you get there, right? You need your queen somehow to get to f6. Knight comes, rook takes d5.
What?
Rook takes d5, queen f6. That's the...
And he stops it. I think Gukesh spotted it and he immediately played queen d7 because he knew he blundered rook takes d5.
Oh, but he finds it the second time, queen f6.
Oh my goodness. The audience can feel it as well. Just like that, a quick shift in the feelings of the audience, the players themselves. 2 seconds to work with here for Gukesh.
Oh, it's definitely not over right now because black has 3 pawns for the bishop. There's a lot of checks. The white king is exposed. Black made one!
Wow! What a finish! Hikaru wins with checkmate on the board.
Look at that. Checkmate, USA versus India. And it ends in a checkmate delivered by the world number 2 to the world champion. Hikaru gets it done. The clean sweep, 5-0.
The clean sweep, the brooms are out. You can hear the chants in the background. Hikaru Nakamura said, not today. You're not going to get that last point.
Man, Gukesh at such a good position with Hikaru Nakamura. I mean, that's why we say that he's the trickiest of them all.
It's his comfort zone, man. He seems to only get better as there's less time on the clock. Let's go to stage now. Jules standing by with the team captain of
congratulations
USA.
on the finish. I must ask, what did you talk about with your teammates back there? And did it influence your opening decisions?
Well, we were just discussing what the options were. First I played e4, then I played f4 to copy Levy, and then I just thought, play b4, why not? The orangutan's a good opening. So it worked out, but I mean, to be fair, Gukesh had many opportunities to win, so it could have gone either way.
All right, thank you so much. And a big congratulations. Let's give it up for Hikaru. All right, stick with us, folks, because we are going to give awards to our winners. But for now, we're going to analyze the game, so back to the desk.
Wow, wow, wow. The winners, Team USA. We knew that. Harshit, you've moved next to me. We're becoming friends again. The match is over.
I just wanted to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you. I didn't do anything besides talk. So I appreciate the kind words. But in all seriousness, that was an awesome match.
That was an awesome match. I mean, we got to see so much chess today. And talking about that last match we just had, the first game ended in a draw. We went to the overtime, 5-0. Also ended in draw. Finally, shootout. Robert, can we go to the critical moments from this final shootout game?
At the X's and O's, because in this position, the bishop on b2 is staring into its own pawn. Not the best piece, but after the trade on c5, that bishop now has a new lease on life in this game. And objectively, Harshit, black was better, but we know when there's no time on the clock, when your king is unsafe, it's very difficult to defend.
Exactly. Even though the machine liked this move, bishop takes c5, both of us immediately realized that, you know, this is bad news, because at some point the queen is going to come to f6 and give mating ideas, and that's what happened. That's exactly what happened in the game.
Yeah, as we continue forward in this game here, there were some mistakes right there. After instead of h4, rook takes d5 was available. The whole point, everyone, is the queen gets in. So you take what seems like a free rook, but in comes the queen. And after this, the rook takes away that last escape square, and there's checkmates everywhere you look. So in the game, instead, we saw the game continue like this. And actually, at the very end, there were mistakes from both sides. White is winning here. Okay, they're not going to play perfect chess. Rook e4 was actually the best move to go after the white queen and king. That would have been winning for black.
3 seconds on the clock.
And then here, right? Like this position, it says it's a draw because of the check. But after king h3, Harshit, what move did black have to play? What do you do when you're under duress?
Just give checks.
Give
Queen
checks.
c8 check.
Exactly.
And I think black had a perpetual here. But of course, you know, when you have this little time on the clock, you just want to make a move right next to like the clock, and that's what he did. No, he goes king f8. Yeah, he thought that the king is escaping from e7, but he forgot that the queen can give a check on d8, and that's not just a check, it's checkmate.
Yeah, the bishop covers g7, the queen gives the check and covers the remaining escape square. So for Hikaru Nakamura, who has so much experience, he's the puzzle-solving beast that he is. I mean, he finds these checkmates in areas where other people make the mistakes. So Harshit, that's what ended this match. And I guess any final thoughts about what just happened in this matchup, checkmate? USA versus India?
I think that Team USA played fantastically well. That being said, I have to give a lot of credit for Team India for, coming here all the way, traveling from different parts of the world. Some people were playing tournaments. They still came here. Finally, it was Team USA who won. But I think we have more to see from this exciting matchup, India versus USA, because I'm sure the whole Indian team is looking for a revenge. Let's wait until the next match where we will see the Indian team taking on the USA team when the players come in India.
Yeah, it will be awesome to see that 5-0. Absolutely unexpected result, but it's a clean sweep. Team USA defends the home turf here in Arlington, Texas. And with that, I think we are going to throw to the stage. It's time for the closing ceremony. There's some awesome things that are going to be awarded. I won't ruin the surprise, but I think Team USA, those players are going to be super happy. So without further ado, you see the players there. Let's see that closing ceremony begin as Dash, Jules, and the crew take care of business. Everyone, please join me in celebrating your inaugural Checkmate champions. It's Team USA!
In securing victory for their nation in a 5-0 finish, it was definitely a battle that delivered highs and lows, Dash. What an exciting journey.
Everybody here in the audience and at home had a good one. They delivered for us. But now it's time for us to deliver for them. Awarding one of these incredible watches to each member of the winning team, courtesy of one of our incredible partners in Tag Heuer. To help us present the awards, I'd like to welcome Gabrielle Ayala, brand manager for Tag Heuer, to the stage. Gabriella, thank you so much, first of all, for being such an incredible partner. These watches are absolutely spectacular. The timepiece that you guys designed for us delivered in every way we could have imagined. But before we award these 5 very deserving players, I just want to hear from you what it means for Tag Heuer to continue your investment in the world of chess, and also maybe a little bit about these watches that you guys have crafted for our winners.
Thank you so much. It's truly an honor to be here today in representation of Tag Heuer, the official timekeeper of today's amazing event. While we know our roots are typically in motorsports, we also have a historical connection to chess timekeeping, dating all the way back to the 1960s. Like racing, chess demands precision, strategy, and endurance, the same values behind our Design to Win philosophy. Today's winners embody those same values, and it's only fitting we honor them with the Tag Heuer Carrera chronograph, a timepiece inspired by our racing heritage and crafted for performance. The Carrera combines timeless design, modern engineering, and the same clarity and precision needed to win. On behalf of Tag Heuer, congratulations to our champions.
So with that, let's hand out some incredible watches to some very deserving players. First up for Team USA, give it up for Fabiano Caruana.
And next up, let's give it up for Carissa Yip. Sorry, we got our order wrong there. Thank you so much.
Next up, let's hear it for Carissa Yip.
Let's hear a round of applause for Levy.
finally, let's hear it for your team captain of Team USA, Hikaru Nakamura. Arlington, give it up one more time for your checkmate champions, Team USA!
We would like to thank everyone here who's watching and everybody who's watching at home and all the amazing energy in the crowd. Can you just hear all the energy? Thank you for bringing yourself out here tonight.
Keep those chants going to celebrate this incredible team. And as this team continues their own celebration, we want to thank all of you here in the arena and all of you at home for being an incredible part of this brand new endeavor. Not just you, the fans, but to all of our incredible partners who helped to make this possible. Stay tuned for the next one, because hopefully this is the first of many. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.